For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
Welcome to the exciting world of the movies.
Hello, Happy New Year from the movie graveyard. You know, I have a real optimistic feeling about 2023, Bat. I think you do too, because I think we're going to be on a mission here to bring Kino back alive.
The year of the Kino?
I think it is. I think 2020 to 2022 was the era, the dawn of streaming and episodic television. Mm-hmm. And now that bubble has burst and everything's going away as quick as it showed up, that was kind of like the Kino dies tonight era. And now, like, 2023, I'm going to call it all the way, it's going to stretch all the way into 2026. It's going to be the rebirth in the Kino wins tonight era.
Do you think our director of the film we're covering tonight, Mr. Vincent Gallo, do you think he's going to make a rise, like a phoenix rising from the ashes and become the greatest film director Hollywood's ever seen this year?
I would assume so. Like, I would say this film we're covering tonight, Buffalo 66, I would say this film alone catapults him up there with Scorsese and Coppola. He just doesn't have
Absolutely.
Yeah, he just...
No, let's send some Kubrick. I mean, this is, like, I don't know what he did. We'll get into it, but, like, the film he used and everything and what he tried to do is, like, real reminiscent of... and I don't like this film very much, but I appreciate what went into it. Kubrick's Barry Lyndon. Yeah. I think it's very similar to that. Obviously Kubrick went a little bit further, trying to use the certain lenses and light everything by candlelight. I mean, that's, an insane undertaking. But this is still, on an independent level, I mean, pretty impressive. So, yeah.
So we're going to roll right into it. We have it paused at the very first frame of the movie, which is a photo of a child holding a puppy, and there's some text on the screen, like no company logos. This is not... Bat, there's no, like...
just jumps right into it.
Yeah,
it's like, there's no, here it is.
Yeah, there's no corporate logos that get in the way of us enjoying Kino right here. Like, you hit play on this disc, you're into the movie. So, yeah, it's a little boy holding a puppy. It says Billy Brown. That's the main character. We're seeing him as a child. He's age 7 in this photo. He was born 12/26/1966, hence the title, Buffalo 66, because he was born in Buffalo, New York. And it's letting you know this photo is a picture of him with his dog, Bingo.
Weird coincidence. The director was also born in Buffalo. I wonder if this is some biopic stuff here.
I think so, because I uncovered some facts. Yeah, I uncovered some facts about it. But I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, go. And when you hear me say go, please hit play on your emotes or click the left click or right click, whichever one it is on your cursors. So, yeah, everybody, 1, 2, 3, go. And there was actually around this time, there was a soundtrack album, which I had. And then also Vincent...
you did have the soundtrack.
Yeah, like I still have it somewhere. I just got to find it.
Not the vinyl. I was looking on his website, Mr. Gallo's, and I saw that there was a vinyl press, but it's like he wanted a lot for it, and it's long out of print. So it sucks.
I also bought his CD that he had at the time. It was he released a CD of experimental kind of ambient music, and I had that too. And,
if you look on his website, apparently he's got a lot of CDs. He's put out a lot of different stuff.
He came out because he started out as an artist and musician, painting and being involved in music and bands in the 1980s in New York. So
he's actually quite pretty prevalent, renowned painter in the 80s, apparently. And I'm guessing that was where he was making his money. But I heard him. I don't know if it was I think it was that Howard Stern interview, or maybe it was another one, but where he had said, basically that he's never had a problem making money, but the painting stuff was getting to the point to where he got out of it because he was going to have to start borrowing money if he stayed in that business. Yeah. So I guess it wasn't profitable around the end for him.
Well, he was really around and I've heard him talk about it a little bit, but he was really around, and he was friends with Jean-Michel Basquiat, who was like a really famous, like it was like the time when like the street artists were getting like very popular and their very crude paintings were selling for big money. And he actually, whatever 10, 15 years after Basquiat's death, he actually had a small role in the film about him, which actually is a very good movie. I highly recommend Basquiat, starring Jeffrey Wright as Jean-Michel Basquiat. But so like, yeah, and Basquiat was around Madonna before she got big and stuff. Yep. So I mean, it was that whole New York arts music crew was very small world at the time, and Vincent Gallo was a part of that. But it was really
he's still kind of a part of it because there's photographs. Like he's been doing photo work. If you go to his website, you can actually buy a signed photo of Gaspar Noé with his junk out. Actually, did you see that?
I didn't see that one, but I saw some other photos for sale.
There's a whole Gaspar Noé series, and and one of them is Gaspar standing proudly with his hands on his waist, with no pants on.
Gaspar Noé, the man behind the genius Kino of Irreversible.
Yeah, another Kino fucking classic director there. Like they all kind of travel in packs, So
I think when you watch this movie, Buffalo 66, you're in for some Kino with the very stark, one pretty much color, very basic main opening titles, very reminiscent of Kubrick. But then we get some beautiful imagery of Billy Brown coming out of prison, and it's very stark and harsh New York winter. And then he goes and he sits on a bench, and we get a really awesome photo collage, within 20 seconds.
Well, it's not even a photo. It's actually like more footage, like actual live footage, all just collected there. And I remember seeing that being like early aspiring filmmaker. And I'm like, that's interesting. Like, how did he do that? And obviously I'd never seen like Chelsea Girls or anything like that, where there's multiple shots running at the same time on your screen. Like, I think we talked about that. I could have sworn I talked about that with you not too long ago. Maybe it was on the last show of that, using that type of style in your film. I don't know if it works for a feature, to have multiple.
Yeah, I mean, probably not for extended periods, but the way Gallo used it here, I feel like we got his, because we just see this guy walking out of jail. We know nothing about him. And then that montage, it pretty much sums up the last 5 years in prison for him. And there's a few more flashbacks to prison later on, but we see how lonely he was and just mopping floors and crying in the shower. So we know this wasn't a guy who was a tough guy in jail and whatever. He was very much in pain and not enjoying being in prison,
It's interesting you bring up the loneliness aspect from that footage and everything because, and we already said we'd probably bring this up because I don't think we'll ever cover it here, but his film after this, which is the second feature, Brown Bunny, he talked about the whole point of that was to show the loneliness of this man. And he, I've seen some because recently we've been trying to dig up as much dirt or whatever on Mr. Gallo, find out as much about him as possible. And he likes being lonely. I mean, he doesn't want to ever get married, and he likes that. So this is a reoccurring theme. I'm guessing within his work is loneliness and that aspect of life. So.
And he's really repulsed by certain women too. If you both his real life comments and the way Billy Brown acts in this film, it's very interesting dichotomy of a guy who enjoys the company of women, but also he's very off-putting.
He hates them.
Yeah,
he fucking hates women.
Well, I think it's really more turnabout is fair play because how many women do you see when a guy comes up to talk to them oh he's so gross, he's so nasty, but you don't really hear guys in general talk about women being smelly and stuff the way Vincent Gallo does.
Yeah, he's
I think the bus station scene where he's running around, we should mention he was out in the cold and he needs to pee this whole time. He even asked to be let back in the jail to go pee and they wouldn't let him. So he's been holding this pee for hours. And I think just that moment where he asked for the bathroom and then it's off whatever, it's being cleaned or it's out of service. And he goes and asks that lady, do you know where the bathroom is? And then she's like, well, there's one back there. And he's like, yeah, ma'am, that one's out of service. Why even tell that lady? It's such an insight into Billy Brown, how fucking whiny and childlike he really is. And I think that's really the real kind of thing of this. I love it when he goes to piss behind this car and then
that's the same lady he asked where the bathroom was.
I thought it was too.
It looks like the same lady.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't notice it because, I told you, I hadn't seen this since VHS, and I never saw the DVD, and I guess I I'm not gonna say I forgot about the film, but obviously, into my teenage years, into high school, there were other stuff coming out and everything, and so, if you don't see the film, available at wherever you get your media from, then you're just like, whatever. But and that DVD or that Blu-ray just came out. What you said, it's like a few years old, right? 10 years old.
It's
now?
like 10 years old now. Yeah. I just got it recently, like 3 or 4 months ago. I didn't even know it was out. Like I just stumbled across something on eBay. I'm like, holy shit. I just always assumed it was a DVD only.
$10.
Yeah. Very much worthwhile, honestly.
It's also on Tubi right now. If anybody out there, obviously it'd be hard to follow along with a commentary because they do ads, but of course it will be uncut. But yeah, if anybody out there is like, I always wanted to see that. Yeah, it's on Tubi, streaming for free. So
yeah, like I just always had the impression that this movie was like a little bit bigger than it probably was. I mean, I knew it was a very small movie, but like at the time, I would say it was the tail end. Like whenever this came out. Maybe not the tail end, but the beginning of the end of the boom of independent movies. Because independent movies really boomed from like 93 to about 99. Like where there was a buzz and people were interested in them. Like even if they didn't see them in the theater, people would rent them on video. And like I just this movie, for as small as it is, like $1 million movie. I think it was like according to
stuff
Gallo.
like Suburbia was pretty big. Yeah, you're talking about like the mid 90s. Of course, we were talking about Palookaville, which co-stars Vincent Gallo. That was a big release, right, in the mid-90s.
Yeah,
independent.
And there was just like a path for those movies to play a handful of theaters and then get on video, and then they would really be on cable a lot too, especially with the boom of IFC and Sundance when those were real channels and didn't have ads and shit on them. But yeah, there was an encounter there. He was trying to use the bathroom at this dance studio, and there was a guy that was like marveling at how big his hog was.
Yeah. And apparently he thinks that he's got the biggest. I mean, you were saying you didn't think it was real and Brown Bunny, but apparently it is. But,
he shows. I guess what we're talking about is he shows it off very explicitly in the Brown Bunny, and it always looked like a plastic dick to me, but. It just there's like that weird thing, and maybe it's like a Ron Jeremy thing, how he always holds his dick when he has sex. But like Brown Bunny cuts like to 20 different angles of his dick, and he's all holding it weird, and he's very carefully putting his tidy whities up over it.
I think he was trying to keep a hard on. I think that's why he was holding it like that, was so he could keep a hard on. And I talked to you. I watched it. I watched half of it the night before and then finished it up last night. And I was like, so that's it. So that's like really the big draw to this movie is him blowing his load into Chloe Sevigny's mouth and her swallowing it. Like that's the big draw.
That's pretty. It's really weird. It's like I really compare Gallo to Scorsese, but you got to chop out the majority of Scorsese's filmography. Like I would say, like Gallo is like Buffalo 66 is like his Taxi Driver.
Yes.
And then like Brown Bunny is like equivalent to Scorsese's like Kundun. You know what I mean?
That's a good comparison.
Yeah. But yeah, like I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with it, and I mean, we'll get into it here, but it's like I think a lot of it has to do with Vincent Gallo's personality limiting him, and him also not wanting to play ball with certain things. But I think if he would have been a little more manageable in terms of having working relationships with studios and producers and whatnot, I really do think he would have become one of the biggest independent film directors of like the early 2000s. But
he didn't want to do that, and there's some of the reasons that we were talking about earlier, and I don't know if you feel comfortable about getting into it, but I don't really give a fuck, because it is definitely an issue that's been going on in Hollywood. And I think maybe this is what happened, is that they wanted him to do their scripts, which I could see saying to this guy, hey, we got this script, and we'll let you make your little independent film if you make us these 3 big blockbusters. And the themes that I wasn't even aware of, these themes are really being pushed as heavy back in the late 90s, but I mean, he alludes to it. So is that the having to have a gay character or probably now it's a transvestite character in the films. And I mean, we were looking at interviews where he was like, yeah, basically you'll win an Oscar, you'll win the Palme d'Or if you have these themes in your film. They'll do really well at the Cannes, but if you don't, they're gonna shit on your movie.
Yeah,
and they were doing that in '98.
Yeah, he was pretty much talking about progressive ideals infiltrating the independent film world back in the late '90s era. And like, yeah, it's interesting because there's obviously always been all kinds of certain specialty programming in the art house scene, but it was never really prevalent in terms of, you know, being like majority or a corporate mandate or whatever. And,
right. Well, it's just not blatantly being shoved. Like, independent films are notorious for having these themes, but it's not like being shoved down your throat like it is today. Like, like you're reading about that Disney animated film, and there was like, I knew nothing. All I knew was that they were gay and there was interracial relationships in it, but nowhere did that person state what the fucking storyline was. Right. And it's just like, it doesn't matter what the storyline was because we want to sell you on this. This is what the whole purpose of the movie, and it's like, okay, well then you should make a documentary then. Because that's what it sounds like you're trying to do, you know?
Well, it's kind of funny, too, because it's like a good kind of like why probably a guy like Vincent Gallo really wouldn't, as a director speaking, really wouldn't fit well in that world is like, what's amazing about Buffalo 66 is it's a slow revelation about who the main character is throughout the entire movie. And more is peeled back about who this guy really is and what his life experiences are, whereas like the kind of filmmaking you're talking about, the identity-based filmmaking, I guess I'll call it,
right,
is you need to know who that person is, what their experiences is, like what they've been through before you even walk through the door of the theater. And like, that's just not really what like classic independent cinema is about. Independent cinema is about character study. And like, you don't do a character study, you don't do a 2-hour film and then know everything about the character within the first 5 minutes. It's just not the way the game works. You know?
Well, I think that type of storytelling is valid if there's a decent story there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it can't just be about, if it's just about that, then you need to make, like, that's what a documentary is. I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the definition of a documentary.
Right.
You know, where that's what's going to be presented, and you know what it's presented, and you're watching it because you want to be more informed about that
the topic,
subject. Yeah, like that's not why I watch films. I don't need to be informed about that community. I'm fairly aware of that community. The community's been around since probably the 1960s, maybe underground at that time, if not longer, probably even longer than that. You know, but yeah, I mean, you can't make it's just like, you can't make your movie, oh, this movie's about monsters for like a horror film. It's like, yeah, okay, but is there a story there? Like, it can't just be Tom Savini doing all this makeup effect. That's, you know, I guess that's just kind of my other example, is like a horror movie that's just about the effects and there's no storyline there. No, nobody gives a fuck about that. It could be like really the greatest effects. Yeah, but nobody's going to want to watch that film because, I mean, maybe somebody, but, you know.
But yeah.
Anyway, this has got the greatest line here where he says he's going to take a bite out of her cheek and shit her out. Yeah. That's my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite line. Probably ever.
Yeah, we should explain that basically what he did was he kidnapped this young girl from this dance studio. And when I first saw it, I thought he was just trying to like get somebody to help him get away, but he needs a girl to come pretend to be his wife at his parents' house. So he kidnaps Christina Ricci, and first he tries to like basically like, you know, kidnap her and carjack her, but he can't drive her car because it's an old stick shift. And he gives this long kind of monologue about like, what is this, a shifter car? I don't drive shifter cars, okay? I don't know how to drive this, you know. I drive cars that shift themselves, you know, luxury cars.
Like Cadillac
Eldorado, that's what I drive. I drive luxury cars that shift themselves. Honestly, like, I kind of always like felt like it was up there, but I'm just going to fucking say it, and if anybody doesn't like it, I mean, you know, everybody's entitled to opinion, but when he wants to, when he's not in the mindset of making a brown bunny, when Vincent Gallo is in the mindset to make a Buffalo 66. Everybody talks about the way Quentin Tarantino's dialogue just sings, and it's the best dialogue all the time. I love Quentin Tarantino. I love the dialogue in Reservoir Dogs. That's my favorite Tarantino film. But even then, like, that shit, like, doesn't even come close, doesn't even hold a candle to fucking Vincent Gallo talking about cars that shift themselves. They shift themselves.
Right. Well, interestingly enough, these two fucking masterminds of cinema have actually been in the same room together, and apparently Vincent Gallo didn't like Quentin Tarantino and said he was an asshole.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2003, so when he was doing Kill Bill. But I imagine he met him in probably the late 90s. I would guess he probably encountered him, at Cannes?
Most likely, yeah.
Jackie Brown or something, maybe? Yeah. But yeah, you think about it, and it's like, yeah, Quentin Tarantino is great and all, but like, the problem with Tarantino is that he came from this independent 90s independent film background, and maybe, if Gallo had taken all these deals and played this game, he would have fucking sold out, because, let's be for real, Tarantino kind of sold out to Hollywood, although he's not really being co-opted. That's probably maybe why he isn't doing as much either, because he's not being co-opted into force feeding us these fucking progressive themes.
Well, he just doesn't have a message that is selling right now, I guess I could say.
Right. But I don't believe I don't think, as far as, you brought up a good example of dialogue. I don't think he's on that level of this right here. People might laugh and go, "Are you insane?"
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm 1,000% real right now, because like,
right, yeah.
I've seen this movie probably 20 times in my life. I've
probably seen it more than that, because I kept going back and renting that VHS. Like, pretty much every time I went to that video store, I rented it with my pile of movies so I could watch it again. So.
I know we say it, and obviously there's a thing about it, and we joke about pure Kino, but this is legitimately pure Kino.
Yeah.
It's there isn't anybody from any corporation involved in the script, the shooting, or the editing, or final, preparation of this film. It's just one man's vision, and it's just fucking awesome, because it's like, again, like the genius, and like I'm sure a lot of people that aren't really used to like paying close attention to the films they watch, just kind of watching the more in your face, whatever, Hollywood entertainment, which I love. I grew up on a mix of everything, but it's so fucking genius the way he turns on a dime here, because he seems like such a scary guy when he kidnaps her and shit. You're like, oh shit, like what's this guy gonna do? He got out of jail, like maybe he's gonna rape her, because she's like half naked the whole movie. But the way he finally gets to go piss on that tree, and then when he gets back in the car and he's like, well, first of all, he's like so out of breath because he had to piss so bad. But like then when he gets back in the car and he's like, okay, first of all, I just want to apologize. I was backed up. I had to go to the bathroom for hours. and the way he fucking talks to her, and he's like, I'm sorry, I pulled your hair and whatever, but I really need you to help me. And the way he like, it's the most genius dialogue. He says, I need you to come with me to my parents, make me look good. If you mess this up, I'll kill you. If you make me look like a fool, I'll never talk to you again. Like.
Yeah, I'll
and then
kill you, but then I'm not going to talk to you again. And I love that line. He's like, Jesus Christ, I can't live without you. Like, where he's telling her about how she needs to be with his parents. And we get this great scene here on the stoop where he's like, just hold me. Ah, don't touch me.
I know. Could you hold me? Don't touch me.
Don't touch me. Like he is kind of playing a little bit of himself in here, and that's great. You really do need to inject your own personality into characters, I think, and he did that really well here. Although he's like, it is a little bit of me, but it's not. So, because I've seen him in interviews, and he's not like this much of an asshole, but apparently he got into the role pretty heavy while he was on set, as far as like the character and everything, because he became this asshole because apparently there was a lot of issues on set. He really had some issues with Angelica Houston. I guess she probably didn't like his style of directing, which is very much in the Kubrick style of directing, like treat your actors like shit. Obviously he hates his mother. This character hates his mother and father, so he probably like talked to her while he was directing in between shots to stay in character like he did on screen.
Yeah, because his banter, I guess I should say, with his mother is very combative and back and forth.
Yeah.
And this is supposedly his childhood home. I mean, it's supposed to be very autobiographical, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
this was where he grew up. Actually,
this is what he said, and I'm kind of like, I have to take everything Vincent Gallo says with a grain of salt, because like the more you hear him talk, sometimes the more you question the truthfulness, or like maybe he's telling you a good story just to make it sound good. But supposedly this is his real house. And then, like, we'll get to it in a second, but you know the song Ben Gazzara sings? If you look at the credits, that's supposedly...
His dad sung it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So it's like, it kind of makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's talk about because really what's has always been, when I first saw this film, the most striking thing is the film stock and the cinematography. And let's talk about the reason why this film looks like it does. It was... filmed on this old reversal stock that was used for NFL films.
Exactly.
And it had high color saturation and contrast. And I looked into this, him using this film stock, and apparently it's like really difficult to edit and like even more difficult to strike prints off of.
Right.
Actually, because it's like real volatile film stock, apparently.
Yeah,
do you know a little bit more about this stuff?
I don't know.
Have you seen it used?
I just always knew the NFL films because, like, I would watch NFL stuff and, like they were using
from the 70s, right?
Well, no, they used it all the way through the 90s because I remember I would watch NFL whatever, I forget where it was, NFL Today, and you would see shit that happened in a game the week before or just a couple weeks ago in the season that you watched on TV, you know, on video camera fucking shot shit. But the NFL's like, you know, and they always had the same announcer guy. I'm blanking on his name now, but there's this classic announcer guy. And you would see shit that you knew because you had watched the game was only happened 2 weeks earlier, and it looked like it was from the 70s. You know what I mean? Like it just always had that look. And it's like, I don't know a whole lot about the reversal film stock. I read a couple interviews in magazines, independent film magazines. I used to buy the shit out of them back then. That was another reason I was really like hyped for this movie to come out. Couldn't wait to go see it. And pretty much that. Gallo was talking about it, and I don't know a whole lot. I don't know if it's the chemical makeup of the film.
It doesn't have to be developed or something like that. It doesn't have to be sent to the lab so you can watch like dailies of it immediately. I don't know if it can just be projected immediately after it comes out of the camera. I think that's what it is. I think it can be projected.
I know there was a lot of like everybody involved with the financing of the film and everything was trying to talk him out of it because there was a big concern that
it's hard to light too. Apparently, it's like really fucking difficult to light this type of film stock. So
well, also too, it's like he was saying, I remember in one of the interviews, he was saying that they didn't even know if like what they were filming was going to come out. So it was just like, and if you look at this,
and they spent like 1.4 million to make this film, so I can see why you'd be nervous.
Well, it's
that's
kind of
quite a
funny.
bit of money in '98.
It's kind of funny too, and I actually really like it. But if you look at the shot here that we're looking at now, that where it's Billy at the end of the dining table or whatever it is. Like, this shot has a quality, like, it looks like more doopy or a generation softer or something. And throughout the whole rest of this long scene, like, every shot from just that one angle looks a lot softer than the others. So I don't know if that was a lighting issue or if the film got damaged and they had to, like, make, like, a dupe of that footage or what. But it's, like, it's really interesting that how it changes from shot to shot here. Because, like, in a minute...
It's probably the lighting, because I guess they spent a lot of time... that was a lot of the between takes was the time they had to spend lighting the scene and stuff. And that scene though, when they jumped back there to when he was a kid, and they found out he was allergic to chocolate. That looked like that was actually shot with Super 8 actually, because you can see the grain and it looks very Super 8 as far as like the saturation and stuff. So that's cool. He's using multiple film formats here. Very quick. Type formats too, that would be like real quick type easily accessible type formats that you would find convenient to use, I guess, a film.
This is the first time Ben Gazzara really starts to feel up Christina Ricci too.
Yeah, and she was she's real slim. Not she has been the past 15 years or so. But back in the day, she was kind of voluptuous.
Yeah.
Yes, very curvy. But he I guess called her a fat pig and stuff like that because they had some problems. I guess we might as well get into the whole thing with no Ricci. I saw the interview with her on Conan, and she spoke real fondly and said that it was a great experience working with him. I think they were still promoting the film, maybe, or something, and maybe she wanted to work with him again. I don't know. But
it's not until years later where people start telling the truth, pretty much.
But yeah, okay, so here's the, let me see here. This is actually from ABC in 2000. Director lashes out at Ricci. So this would have been October 30th, 2000. It's still on ABC News' website. 2 years ago, brash actor, model, director Vincent Gallo told reporters he immediately wanted to cast then up-and-coming actress Christina Ricci after seeing her in The Addams Family, Mermaids. Gallo, nearly 20 years older than the goth hottie, decided he must have her play the lead in his directorial debut, Buffalo 66. The angular-faced, unshaven Gallo even claimed he had a crush on Ricci his whole life. See, and that's weird. Like, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's weird because she said she in the interview in Conan that she was 17, and he didn't want her to bring her mother and stuff. Like, so this motherfucker's like sleazy because you said he was 36.
Yeah, the thing I was reading, I think it was more when the movie came out, so it was probably a year later. But at the time when they were writing about the movie, the author was saying 36-year-old Gallo co-stars with 18-year-old Ricci, and I remember that was one of the things from the articles I was reading was he was talking about his girlfriend was jealous because he would make her go see all the Christina Ricci movies. And I want to say he was talking about That Darn Cat or like one of those Disney remakes where it was like Ricci and I think Dougie Doug, and he was just like so blown away and he was so in love with her and his girlfriend was jealous. And like again, like I feel like Vincent Gallo kind of like, you know, tells tall tales just to make shit more interesting, but like yeah, like he was all about it. So that was really like surprised because like, you know, I didn't really like follow up with the film 2-3 years after it came out. I just
neither.
I really enjoyed it when it came out and read all the you know, like what you're talking about, the promotional press at the time, which is always positive for every movie. So I didn't know he ended up. It wasn't until I saw that Stern interview that you sent me where he was saying like her breath smelled like she was drinking all the time and all this shit.
Yeah, so they did this New York Post page 6 column. And he actually elaborates. He talks about these page 6 writers and like, fuck them. I hope they get cancer and stuff. And that Stern. So maybe they took his shit out of context. I don't know. But this is what it goes on to say. When writer mentioned Ricci to the director, he snapped. It was okay when she wasn't drunk on set. I think she's an alcoholic. It was either that or she was on cough syrup the whole time. As far as Christina Ricci working with her. Gallo, who also snidely claimed that Ricci lost weight on the set because he limited her diet, seemed to spit fire. I don't like her, he continued. She's an ungrateful cunt, but it was okay. She's basically a puppet. I told her what to do and she did it. Which, I mean, you know, as a director, you do want, like, that's ideal for an actress to be your fucking puppet, like, right?
Well, well, not only that, I mean, but, like, I've done some acting before, too, and mostly my own shit, but the few times that I've done with other people and stuff, like, I just do whatever they tell me to do, just because there's really no point, in, like, unless you just want to direct your own shit, there's, like, why be an actor?
Project.
Yeah. It's like... But yeah, like maybe she was on because they shot this in the dead of winter, and she's like so like we should say she's like in this weird dance uniform. I was gonna send it to you, but it was only like a minute long or something. This interview she did for it, where she was talking about what she was wearing in this movie was so ridiculous, like her nipples were almost showing and all this stuff. Like, but it's like at the time, and it's weird now because when I pop this in, especially on the Blu-ray, and I'm just like. Because at the time, like, I was, you know, just about the same age Christina Ricci was when this movie came out. And I was like, damn, this is, like, one of the hottest film characters ever, the way she looks and everything. Yeah. And then, like, you see it now, and it's like, yeah, I see what I was saying. But, like, I just noticed now, like, oh, she's still got, like, the Addams Family little kid face in this movie. Like, it's weird now to watch it.
I guess I grew up with her and stuff. Yeah. Like, she is a little bit older, but, like, Casper and... you know, I grew up with those movies and stuff as a kid, and you know, so I guess I grew up with her, and so I mean, I was still like I wasn't like 13 maybe when this movie
Yeah, I mean, you
actually
were still
came out.
young.
So
Yeah.
so she was like a hot older chick for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I
Or
was
for
like,
me,
she looked
like,
like a woman. She looked like a woman to me.
I mean, she looked like a
for
woman to
my
me at the
age.
time too,
Yeah.
because I think I'm either like a year or 2 years older than her. So like when
Yeah.
this came out, she was like my contemporary, you know what I mean? But now you
Right. Oh
watch
yeah.
it and Frozen. I mean, I still see her and stuff all the time. I just watched that Yellow Jacket show a couple months ago, and
I
but
haven't really watched anything with her it's like since Black Snake Moan, to be honest with you.
yeah,
I haven't really followed her career or anything. I didn't really check this film out necessarily because of her. I checked it out just because I was into watching independent films, you know. When I was an aspiring filmmaker, I knew nothing about this. This was totally a blind rental. It just had an interesting looking cover, and yeah, I mean, when I seen it, obviously my big draw to it was the ending scene. It had this. I mean, the minute I saw it, I was like, this has a '70s crime film like look to like a blaxploitation film or something, and it just had this interesting draw to me that I was super fascinated with. And then it was just kind of just a bizarre plot. Like I never seen anything. I guess I hadn't watched enough independent film over the years to, I just thought this was a bizarre storyline. Like it's just so mundane.
yeah,
I guess like, oh, we're going to see my parents and this
so
and that.
small.
But, like, yeah, it's not like some big action. Like we've got to stop the guy from putting the bomb in the building in the next 30 minutes or blah blah blah, and it's just action packed. The kind of shit you'd see in the late. I mean, in the late '90s, what we had Matrix and like all this CGI fucking stuff coming out. I mean, visually pleasing. Not to say this film isn't, but there's not a lot. There's not really a lot going on as far as like action or anything super exciting. I guess like it's like a guy going to a bowling alley and treats this girl like shit the entire movie. Like,
well, this I kind of forgot how extended the scene, and I forgot how early in the movie the scene is where they go to see the parents. But yeah, there was like that other flashback where they showed like him and his dog when he was a kid, and his dad came out all angry, like showing
and
you
snap the dog's neck.
Yeah, like they kind of cut away, but it intimates that he snaps the dog's neck because the puppy peed on the carpet again. But
and we get Kevin Corrigan in this, too, and that was another draw. I always liked him because he was in that Slums of Beverly Hills.
He was great in that. I was I first started tracking him from True Romance. So after I saw him in True Romance, I would I would notice him in everything he was in. But yeah, Slums of Beverly Hills. I'm telling you, like the era that this film came out in, probably for me personally, like 96 to about 99. Because like we would, me and my dad, we always go see tons and tons of movies, and if there was something that interests us at the art house theaters, we would go. But generally, there wasn't a whole lot. Whereas like this era, like I'm telling you, I was like pretty much split like 50-50, going to see art house shit, going to see mainstream shit. Like there was so much good independent cinema at the time. Like I can't even really explain it to somebody who like really didn't live through that era or understand it now. But it's just like everything now is just so fucking. Like even the independent movies now that are just made just cheaply to get out or whatever, they're all just imitating studio films,
They're not really trying to like. I mean, I guess I didn't. I can't. I mean, I can now fully appreciate what was going on, and it was you're talking about this like mid to late '90s, and thankfully I was like getting into my teen years and like interested in this stuff, and just wasn't watching, like whatever the next big blockbuster. I've always had an eye for Kino since real young. I think it was probably when I first saw like Clockwork Orange, which was like 9-10 years old. I saw it on cable. I watch a lot of stuff, so I always had an eye for like what we're calling Kino now. I didn't really know what the fuck it was. I just knew it was different than what the mainstream was trying to push onto me, back then, or anybody really for that matter. But I can fully appreciate it now. I guess I didn't then, of this independent renaissance is what you're talking about, of that era. And now, like, in retrospect, looking back, it's like, yeah, man, like, we should have really appreciated, like, I didn't really think much of it, like, stuff like Welcome to the Dollhouse and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, these are, like, weird and stuff, and, like, I don't know, like, I really didn't think too much about it. I guess I took it for granted, like, oh, well, it's going this way, and, like, Ghost World is another one, another example of, like, this type of film coming out, and I'm seeing a lot of this stuff, but I just figured that it would just continue to progress, and this would, like, it would just get better and better, and it didn't. It actually got worse. Like, I think it was after 2005, 2006, shit really started to go downhill, I think.
Yeah. And like,
it's because go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think what we were seeing, Bat, was we were seeing the generation behind, like, Scorsese and Coppola.
Yeah.
We were seeing, like, the Tarantinos, the Gallos, the Todd Sullivans. We were seeing those people that were actually influenced by the era of the 70s, when, like, the kind of, like, the independent directors took over Hollywood. So it's like a movie like Buffalo 66 is, like, in a lot of ways, even though it came out in 1998, it feels so much like a movie from the 70s, because that's probably the era of filmmaking that Vincent Gallo loved the best.
Yeah, it's very much like a nod to, like, stuff like Easy Rider and you brought up Taxi Driver and stuff like that. That we were seeing of that new what do they call it, like, that was kind of a new renaissance of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the guys that came out of Corman's school of filmmaking and worked for Corman, they took over Hollywood. I mean, even Scorsese did. I think that was a Corman film, Boxcar Bertha.
Yeah,
was a Roger Corman film, and, like, yeah, pretty much all the guys that worked in some shape, way, form, or whatever for Corman, they're, like, became the big heavyweights into the 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, definitely Vincent Gallo was inspired. I think his problem and why he didn't rise to the success that he probably should have is very similar to Jim Van Bever.
right.
Another talented independent filmmaker. It looks like he predates Tarantino, and was actually able to make multiple films, whereas, out of his own pocket, whereas, like, let's face it, I mean, Tarantino failed. My Best Friend's Birthday, he tried to make on his own, and he couldn't pull it off by himself. He wasn't able to pull off his first independent film, if you want to call Reservoir Dogs an independent film. I mean, without the assistance of Harvey Keitel,
Right.
and that type of attention, I don't think that fucking project would have ever got off the ground, to be honest with you.
No, it actually really
some people
wouldn't
might
have,
argue that, but so, like, looking at, but yeah, again, going back to Van Bever and Gallo, they're very similar because they're both, like, conservatives, have this conservative view, political view, and I think that's, like, you're definitely not going to fly high in Hollywood nowadays.
No.
With that, that's why we don't see
blacklisted,
James Woods. Yeah, we don't see James Woods anymore and stuff. And I don't right away. I'm not really, I don't really subscribe to that political view. But again, I don't really like politics in my movies, and I have never seen Jim Van Bever, nor have I ever seen Vincent Gallo try to inject their politics into their films.
Right.
So I appreciate that, but yeah, I mean, that's probably why these guys aren't, big wheels in Hollywood right now or working in the industry, because I guess they're not willing to put that aside, and rightly so. Again, we brought up the whole the gay and lesbian themes within film and how that needs to be the forefocus. And I don't think that he should have to sacrifice his vision to promote the like it's like, this film's great, but can we have a black lesbian tranny in the film? And it's like, the story doesn't need what doesn't need that, and they'll want him to inject that into his film and force feed it onto the audience and then sacrifice his vision.
I think it's really like they wouldn't even consider his vision at this point in time, because it's like we have a script of movie whatever scripts over here in this pile that fit our worldview that we want to promote.
We have a new Marvel movie that we want, new superhero that is just great, and we know the kids are just going to love this, and we can also put a dress on him.
But I think it, like, not to get like too weird in discussion here, because there's actually a bunch of shit going on in the movie I want to get back to, but like I think it's almost like one of those weird Illuminati ideas of like you present into the world what you want to happen, and I think that's what kind of Hollywood has become, is we present in our films.
It's always been like that. I think that it's been like that for a long time, man.
And the world that they want doesn't include a guy like Vincent Gallo running around making movies that are about like scumbags from Buffalo. You know what I mean? Like it's just not what. But yeah, like we got a great scene there around the dinner table where his dad was accusing him of pointing a knife at him, where it's just a butter knife laying on the table. That was a great thing. And then we got a nice flashback. We find out why Billy was in prison. We
got Mickey Rourke on the screen. This is when he was like, his career wasn't doing very well.
Yeah,
right?
Everybody claimed there was all these years that Mickey Rourke didn't, and like he just would do these smaller parts of movies or whatever. But I mean, he did good shit. Like it just wasn't widely seen. But yeah,
and Mickey actually still looks like he didn't like decimate his face here, and this predates. Like he actually looks like he did back in like the '80s and stuff. Right. So
yeah, he looks good in this movie. But yeah, it just has like a one scene cameo. But basically, the backstory is, and I don't know, you're probably too young to remember this, but there was like a string of like 4 years straight where the Buffalo Bills always made it to the Super Bowl and they always fucking lost. There was a couple that got blown out, but there was other ones where like they just barely lost. And like I remember the one, it was like 90 or 91 Super Bowl. Their kicker, Scott Norwood, was actually the real guy's name. He missed a field goal, and that's what they recreate. But they changed his name in the movie to Scott Wood. Yeah.
So that was because of let me read this. So let's see here. Gallo was unable to use real NFL logos or to refer to the team as Buffalo Bills, just Buffalo or Bills, as NFL properties were uncooperative. Kicker Scott Norwood was invited to participate in the film but declined, meaning Gallo had to change the character's name to Scott Wood. So they actually tried to get Scott Norwood to cameo in this film, actually. So
yeah, it's funny too, because in the movie he kind of trades in on his infamy for missing the field goal and opening a strip club. Scott Wood's solid gold dancer.
Is that true though? Did he do that?
No, he was actually a very straight. The real Scott Norwood was actually a very straight-laced guy, and he immediately, like his playing career ended in the early '90s, and like he actually just got waived by Buffalo, and instead of trying to get on to another team, he just immediately retired. And I want to say it was Virginia he went to. And he immediately started selling real estate. So by the time this film would have been made, he actually was long gone and just being a real estate broker in Virginia, I believe it was. So I could see why he wouldn't come back to participate. But it would have been fucking awesome if he really was in the movie. But yeah, so what happened was on that Super Bowl, they do a flashback of Billy and his friend Goon, played by Kevin Corrigan. He calls and bets $10,000 to Mickey Rourke's character on the Super Bowl. And of course, Buffalo loses, and like Goon tried to warn him because he doesn't have any money, let alone $10,000. So he couldn't cover his losses to Mickey Rourke. So Mickey Rourke pretty much forced him. He said, "I'm going to do evil and bad things to your family. I have a friend who has been accused of a crime that he did not commit." It's a great great dialogue.
Oh, yeah,
Mickey Rourke.
The line delivery is perfect.
Yeah, better than. I'll just say just as good, not to incite a riot here. I'll say just as good as on a Tarantino level, in my opinion, but I personally think it's better. And he tells him, like, I need you to go to the police and confess to this crime. And I thought it was interesting, too, Bat. It was like I was watching very closely to the dialogue. Like, they never really actually mention what the crime was that Billy had to confess to. But
that's right. That's true.
Yeah, they do the courtroom flashback, and the judge says, since you confessed to this crime, like you're getting the automatic maximum sentence of 5 years. So like he literally like no parole, and she even says with the possibility of no parole, so like no time off. So he did the full 5 years.
No, you got to think though that Tarantino's lucky that guys like Gallo and Van Bever didn't climb to the top because, I mean, to be honest with you, they were more talented filmmakers than he is as far as fully rounded. Now, I'll give Tarantino the thing that I'll give Tarantino, because I know everyone sucks Tarantino's dick, and I'm not like a Tarantino hater like some people are here. I do like the man's work. I don't like everything he's done. He is a great screenwriter. Honestly, he probably would have been more suited as a screenwriter. And I know he tried to break in, and I think that's what his focus was early on with True Romance and Natural Born Killers.
Even his gig work that he did, where he wrote the original draft of From Dusk Till Dawn, and then he tried to write Halloween 6, but what's his name, Akkad didn't hire him, so...
Didn't like the script. Yeah, well, my theory too on From Dusk Till Dawn is that, and if you watch Full Tilt Boogie, he directed quite a bit of that. It sure does appear to me, the scene where they're driving up, that he is directing, and that leads me to believe that he did a lot more directing on that film than people would, like to admit. Yeah. I'm sure Robert Rodriguez wouldn't want to admit that, but I'm going to be honest with you. From Dusk Till Dawn feels like a Tarantino film.
Oh yeah, I think it's intentional. It was a cash in to some degree,
And it's not just because he stars in it either. It feels like it was directed by Tarantino, and so I think he had his hand in directing quite a bit. And because as far as I'm concerned, you might disagree with me. I know you're probably a Robert Rodriguez fan, actually, but it's Robert Rodriguez's best film. So. Oh no,
I've always said that. Always, by far. But directing, editing wise, everything. It's by far his best film. Like, I mean, I really, really, really like a handful of Robert Rodriguez films, and there's also a lot of them that I'm like vastly disappointed in.
Are you a huge fan of El Mariachi?
I like El Mariachi. I think it's great for a $7,000 basically student film.
Yeah, independent film. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Desperado. I think what he did for $7 million on Desperado was amazing, and I think that was like the nice ramp up to. I can't remember if it came out before or after From Dusk Till Dawn, but but I mean, by far, I mean, it's not even fucking close. From Dusk Till Dawn is his best film. Like,
yeah. But you're also a fan of his later work, Spy Kids, right?
I mean, just because I have all 6 films posters on my bedroom wall, I mean, I wouldn't really call myself a fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's about the Spy Kids era is when I was like, all right, Mr. Rodriguez, I think I've had enough of your work, sir.
Like, if Spy Kids came out now, like at my old age, like maybe you could get me to watch it. But like at the time that I was like in my early 20s, I mean, I rarely saw a PG-13 film, let alone a kids film. Like, I took a lot of shit for that for years too. But
I mean, I get it. He said he made it for his kids, right? I mean, because he had. That's the whole reason.
I'll be honest, and I don't want to get on a tangent here, but another reason why I don't like modern films is like I'm not really down with all the green screen shit. Like, just. The only green screen films I like is the George Lucas Star Wars prequel thing.
Oh, okay.
Those 3, I'm fine with it. The other ones, they could Marvel, whoever, they can suck a dick.
I think that Gallo would be interested in green screen technology if he could blow his dick up the size of like Godzilla in New York City and have Chloe drink his load.
You know what other filmmaker green screen absolutely ruined and nobody talks about it, and I'm sure it was a budgetary thing, but still, is Alex Cox, the director of Repo Man. He started making these bad green screen films where it was like you couldn't even see anybody like walk across a parking lot. They would be like walking on a treadmill with a green screen of like a parking lot behind them. It was really shitty. And I remember that was like that green screen shit actually started in video games. A lot of things people don't remember that, but things like Wing Commander, PC games and shit, it became a really cheap. There's some Star Wars ones like it too, Star Wars PC games, but that green screen shit became a way to really economically just film people standing around talking. I never understood it.
Yeah, there's no reason to do green screens like that other than that you're just either lazy or you don't feel comfortable shooting on location or whatever.
Yeah.
I get it, like as far as like keeping the production rolling and not having to go, oh well, there's this plane flying over, there's this guy that keeps, trying to walk into the shot or whatever. But I mean, it's just really lazy, I think. And
It is, and it's boring to watch. So there's no point. I prefer more the like, because like there's a lot of independent films back from like the late '90s that are about people working in offices, and it's just like they get an office or they build a set of an office, and you get a lot of those films where like people are sitting at a desk and like it's like hard focus on them, and the walls in the background are just really blurring out of focus. I'd much rather see that than like people traveling around the world in front of a green screen and never actually doing anything. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. I see that was really prevalent, I think, when I was getting like in the early to mid 2000s, really people trying to just use the green screen technology throughout the entire film. Yeah, I just didn't see a point in it at all. So I just feel like you get a lot more from shooting on location. We're entering into this bowling alley now, and this is like legitimate bowling alley, and there's just so much production value here. Yeah, that you can't, and this bowling alley has a very 70s look to it, and of course we get I didn't realize this was Jan Michael Vincent, his buddy.
Jan Michael.
He's way older here since before he passed away, I guess.
I think he was battling throat cancer around this time.
Yeah, because his voice is like, that's probably why I didn't know it was him, because I didn't, obviously he's a lot older and like his voice is just haggard. I just thought he was just like, because I know in Brown Bunny, the production, I guess he like really shot that with real people. So he didn't have to spend a lot of money. He would just have them like, I think that scene where he goes to the pet store, that guy like really, they just went to a real pet store and just gave the guy probably like a sheet of paper with a few lines of what he was going to say. And yeah, I thought that's kind of what he was doing with this film too a lot. And I thought this was like a guy that worked at the bowling alley. Like,
yeah, you can tell like the scenes like on the streets where he's running around are kind of like stolen. But like I thought Gallo did a really interesting thing here, where he really, for the budget of this film only being like around $1 million or so. He did a great, like, I mean, I don't know how little these people are willing to work for. I know he claims he had to give half the movie's budget to Angelica Houston to be in it.
That makes sense, yeah.
But he did a great, and that's kind of why he resented her so much. But, like, he did a great thing in terms of, like, Vincent Gallo was not a star, but he put himself next to Christina Ricci, who was very well known from studio films as a child actress. And then he cast throughout the movie all these like really, I mean, Kevin Corrigan was more his buddy, but I mean even he was like recognized with him. But like he put big stars in like very cameo roles, like Mickey Rourke as the bookie, Jan Michael Vincent as the bowling alley guy. His parents were played by Ben Gazzara and Angelica Houston, and then like it's really a really interesting cameo. Like it's kind of a nothing role, but it becomes more interesting that Rosanna Arquette plays the real life Wendy Balsam.
Right. Yeah. And that really worked really well. Actually, Rosanna Arquette, I was talking about that film with you a while back. I don't want to get off too much on a tangent here, but she's played some like really trashy type characters before, and so this is like real reminiscent of the Executioner song. I talked to you about that, and her
I still need to see that.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay,
yeah.
Her character in this is very reminiscent of her character in that too, as well. Yeah, no, why I haven't actually picked up that Blu-ray, and I have like this fan edit because it's never fully been presented fully uncut. Like there's all these. It is a made-for-TV movie, but there was a European cut that had a bunch of nudity with Rosanna Arquette and Tommy Lee Jones and stuff, where they were like having sex and he's like smacking her around and shit. Obviously, that wouldn't have worked out good. I think it came out on CBS back in the 80s, but yeah, the Blu-ray that you can get on Amazon is not fully uncut. So yeah, that's like why I've never actually bought a physical copy of it, because a lot of fans have complained about that film not being released fully uncut for whatever reason. It might be materials.
That's interesting because I'm looking at it, the current Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. It says 1 movie, 2 cuts, but I guess it's still not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it has the.
And maybe it does have the European separate on there. The fan edit I have has like all the original like movie of the week. It's actually a VH. It's all from VHS copies. And it has the original movie of the week intro and everything cut into it, and then has like the European cut. It's like I'd never actually seen it uncut. I'd always seen it the original theatrical movie of the week version.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see all that extra stuff, and no, it's really good. I mean, I'd love to cover. I believe it's Kino. Maybe I can get you that fan edit, or if you want to pick up. I don't know if we're going to commentary over if we just wanted to do an episode where we talk about films. I mean, I don't, down the road.
Because it says the director's cut is 135 minutes. The original version is 188 minutes, presented in 2 parts. And then the guy who did the review, he says, of the 2 versions, the original version is more novelistic and melodramatic, more slowly moving. Director's cut is more of a movie with R-rated dialogue and sex inserted into the effort to harden it, giving a more realistic depiction of Gary's. I didn't realize like this movie was so, because I remember this being on TV when I was a kid. I always hearing of it, but I didn't really know anything about it.
Yeah, it's based off a true story about this guy that wanted to be executed by firing squad or whatever. That was his request or whatever. But no, it's great, and it's one of my favorite. I'm not really a big Tommy Lee Jones fan, to be honest with you, but yeah, this is. Always stuck out to me. I don't remember where. I think I saw it on TV back in the 90s, and I was just like, whoa, this is great. Like, why is this not talked about more? This is just a great performance. And his character there is just so sleazy. He gets there's this scene where he's working at I think it's like his uncle or something's shoe repair shop, and this girl comes in to drop this young girl with bell bottoms and tight pants, walks in and drops off the shoes, and he's been in penitentiary for so long. He's like, "Oh, mama!" And he's like all horny and stuff, and like hooting and hollering at her at the store. It's so greasy, but we get this great scene with Christina here doing this dance. And this is another thing. This is where this caught my attention. Obviously, growing up on more mainstream cinema, this is just something different. Like all of a sudden, we just cut to this. It's very realistic. Type filmmaking.
Like a spotlight comes up on her and all the lights go down in the bowling alley. She does this tap dance, which actually, like, you might be like, okay, what is this goofy shit? But it actually kind of works into her character being a dance student and whatever, like it actually serves a purpose.
No, it does. I know a lot of people I never got that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I kind of now, I guess, thinking about him, like I could see that people compared him to Lynch. Because of this type of scene here.
Well, yeah, there's like two. There's the part where the dad sings the song where the lights fade down, a spotlight goes on him, and then Ricci in the bowling alley does the dance. But like, as far as I'm concerned, this is pure Kino because like we know there's literally not a spotlight on Christina Ricci. It's really just like she took the moment to dance on the wood of the bowling alley because the lights fade back up, and then you kind of even notice when the lights fade back up, her dancing kind of fades off, and you kind of see how shitty it really is. But like, I don't know, like I just find it a beautiful touch, and it's like it's a great moment in the trailer as well. But
no, it was I don't have my audio on, but Moonchild by King Crimson kicks in there. We didn't even really get into the soundtrack. We got two great Yes songs on here. Maybe two of the greatest Yes songs ever, by the way. And then the King Crimson, I have that on vinyl. I actually have that album on vinyl over there. So, but I would love to have this on vinyl. This whole soundtrack with Vincent Gallo's music too, as well. It just everything works perfectly. It's just like meant to be there. It's like it was made for the film. So I got to give him credit on that, on picking the music out that just like sets the tone.
It really does. I mean, that's just like the the mark of a good, well-rounded filmmaker. But like, yeah, even like that Vincent Gallo track. It's really the only Vincent Gallo track that I really like, to be honest, even off the album I bought. But the one that's like at the very beginning where it shows him in the prison, he's just like, all my life I've been this lonely boy.
The Billy Brown song.
Yeah, and it's like doom, doom, like it's very like ominous and just haunting.
So is it longer on the soundtrack than what we got there, or did they give us the entire piece?
I can't remember without looking at it. I think it is slightly longer. Like it's not like 30 seconds, but I think it's still pretty short. Like I think it's only like 2 minutes or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I could be wrong though. It's been forever since I listened. But like literally again, like around the time this movie came out, I was driving around listening to that soundtrack, and it was really like that Yes song at the end, the strip club song. That's just fucking awesome. But
I think that's on their second
like,
album, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, more great dialogue there where he calls the operator to get the address for Scott Wood's strip club, and they're like, "How do you spell that?" He's like, "I don't know, Woods."
Woo. Woo.
Like it's, you know, like I don't know how much like, you know, of our listenership is really into independent films or whatever, but like to me, independent film when it's actually good, there's by the way, there's a lot of pure shit that just kind of tries to use the excuse of being an independent film. And that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I'm talking about what's great about independent film is when you can have like a scene of like a guy in a phone booth, and it's like he's doing really nothing other than just talking to somebody on the phone, and it's like captivating. Like your eyes are drawn to the screen, you're immersed into the personality of this character and what they're saying. Like, to me, that's what's great about independent film.
Yeah, I'm looking on here, and apparently Kevin Corrigan chose to opt out of the credits because he did not want to be associated with the film at the time. I wonder why. I know he, I can't remember if it was late, maybe in 99 or early 2000s, he started doing that show, which I do like too as well, Grounded for Life. Did you ever watch that?
I did at the time. Yeah. I don't remember much about it, but I remember it. It was a Fox show, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I got into it, and I was like, because I really like him, and I just thought it was great. And then they did like this weird, one episode they did this weird, I don't think it was on purpose because it wasn't Point Place, but they actually, there's one episode where they go to the water tower from that 70s show where they painted the pot leaf. I guess they just had it, or they're, you know, it's a Fox show, so they're like using the same sets. I don't even think
the soundstage.
Yeah, the same set, you know, the same town. It was supposed to be that, but I was just like, is this that 70s so modern crossover or whatever? And the only other person that said that they really liked that show and watched it too was Newt. We were talking, but I only got to watch it like the first season, and then it might have changed nights that it was on. And I just
that happened a lot to Fox shows back then.
And I just was never around when it was on, and I think it lasted 4 seasons, and I just really loved that show.
I fell out of the groove.
Yeah, I've been meaning to. That's one I'd like to revisit. Like if I saw a Grounded for Life box set, I would grab it up in a heartbeat just so I could go back, because it was great. There was the Ramones episode, and just, you know, it just had a good feel to it. It was definitely not very mainstream, I guess.
You know, like I think probably Kevin Corrigan didn't want to be associated with it because there's the inference that the character he's playing, Goon, is and again, this is independent filmmaking. This is Vincent Gallo filmmaking. Not everybody's going to like it, but I think it's very obviously a guy, the character of Goon, I think it's very obviously a guy who has a mental handicap, who's been shit upon his whole life to the point where literally his name that even his best friend calls him is Goon. I mean, that's not a very rosy life there. You know,
now. I want you to call me Rocky now.
Call me Rocky. And like he lives in a really kind of nasty bedroom with his mom and
fucking hamsters,
chinchillas and hamsters and guinea pigs around him. He's obviously very much a childlike character, and there is a flashback in prison where Rocky, aka Goon, goes to see him, and he's because he lied to his parents. He never told him he was going to prison. He wants Rocky to send them Christmas cards and birthday cards all throughout the 5 years, you know, and he starts doing the same thing here. Like, we'll get in the scene after here, but he's going to have Christina Ricci do the same thing for him. He bought a bunch of, like, they don't really show what he bought, but you find out later, he bought a bunch of birthday cards and stuff for at this Walgreens that they stopped at real quick, and he's gonna have Ricci, and it's like
that's
you
why
don't
they're
like
taking
you don't
the
know
photos right now too in the photo booth.
yeah,
So
the classic scene.
yeah, you know,
But
I was just thinking, just not to get off too much off topic, but I'm willing to bet because we were talking about Gallo was in Goodfellas in the 1970s crew scenes, but also I almost forgot that Kevin Corrigan actually plays Ray Liotta's kid brother in Goodfellas too as well, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. He's like real young, and his hair is short.
They must have met on that set then. That's probably where because you said you thought they were friends. I don't know where you got.
Well, I thought so because Gallo said when he was talking about the casting, he casted all these people he wanted to work with, and then he got to Kevin Corrigan, and he actually said I wrote the part just for him.
Yeah.
So I knew he knew him. You know what I mean?
Right. They must have been friends from working on that film, which until we decided to do this here recently and I started doing research, I had no idea that that was Gallo in that 1970s. I've seen Goodfellas so many times. Yeah. So he's actually worked with Scorsese then, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean that's that small role he had on Goodfellas. That's probably when the torch was passed.
Yeah, absolutely.
When Vincent Gallo became the best director of cinema at that time.
Like Scorsese was like, "Listen, it's going to get real shitty here. Yeah. I'm going to need you to take over the torch and become the next auteur filmmaker, you know, working in Hollywood." And Vince was like, "Yeah, I can do that. I can."
Well, it was probably just even more like ethereal than that when the torch was passed by. It was like probably like Scorsese probably finished his cup of coffee and he was in the middle directing. He's like, "Vincent, could you go throw this away from me?" And he touched, they kind of touched and their fingertips touched for a split second, like sometimes
transferred.
Yeah, like when somebody hands you something, and then Vincent Gallo became the best director.
Anyway, it was like being shocked with like static electricity. It was like, what the hell happened there? And it's like, yeah, you're a filmmaker now, man.
And I mean, I don't know because she's only directed 3 things, but Chloe Sevigny is a director now too.
That's right.
And maybe the power transferred to her for a the while when he filmed the Brown Bunny.
When he came in her mouth and she swallowed it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's how like his. I mean, Scorsese didn't come in Gallo's mouth, but maybe that's the way it worked.
From male to female. Yeah.
But this is like pretty much, we see that Billy has a gun in his locker at the bowling alley, and he's got this little small handgun, and we start seeing him talking to.
That's actually a lady's 22.
Yeah, it's not a very cool gun, but it's very fitting for the character of Billy.
It's cool for like the 70s vibe, but
it's kind of the beginning of him on phone booths and talking to people, and then muttering to himself, "I'm gonna kill Scott Wood. I'm gonna fucking kill him. He ruined my life. I'm gonna kill Scott Wood." And I actually wish he said it more. I just loved it every time he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill Scott Wood." he blames this guy because basically he tells his buddy Goon Rocky that he heard from guys in prison that Scott Wood actually got paid off to miss that field goal, and that's what ruined Billy's life. So it's pretty strong motive for revenge here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really interesting the phone to use the usage of the pay phones and stuff now, because this modern generation will be like, what is this artifact from time before? It's like I don't that might not, the kids today might not think that's hip. They may be like, are you using a pay phone? It's like, no, only the coolest movies with characters using, the movies were the coolest when they had them on the payphone. What are you talking about? That's a sign of a true Kino film, actually. Is there's a
payphones were such a fucking staple of movies back then, dude. They're like virtually every movie had some sort of scene that was like where somebody had to stop at a payphone.
My first feature-length student film had a bunch of stuff with a payphone. Like it's just like somebody had to be like drinking coffee and smoking a cigarette. Those were all like things you had to put in your independent film. Somebody has to be drinking coffee and smoking a cigarette. They have to use the payphone. This is like certain things that you got to do if you want to be.
Coffees and cigarettes in particular were so powerful that Jim Jarmusch filmed like 20 short films over a period of 15 years of coffee, just based around coffees, and then he released them as a feature length.
That's right.
Again, like that was a movie that I went to see in a theater. Was 20 short films by Jim Jarmusch about coffee and cigarettes, and like again, people are like, what's the movie about now?
It's about
two people that, yeah. What's the movie? It's just like you can't get anything like that into a movie theater now. Now it's got to be okay. Like when is the superhero coming to give all his powers to his younger teenage sister so she can take over? That's the story we need to tell.
Well,
now.
Listen, about the cigarette stuff. I remember when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, and you know how much I liked that film. I was like really pushing it, like I love this film. I saw one reviewer say, why do they keep smoking cigarettes? Like, I'm like, what do you mean? It's like 1968. Like everybody fucking in their. I mean, when I was a kid in the 90s, everybody smoked cigarettes. Like, if you went into a house and there wasn't an ashtray filled with butts and the reek of fucking nicotine, like there was something wrong. You were like, oh, what's going on here? Is this a setup? Like, you want to get nervous. Like, that was normalcy.
Yeah, I was like kind of shielded from it, I guess, because my dad was not a smoker, and he didn't like the smell of it. And like my mom was, and her family, like everybody, my uncle, my grandpa and grandma, like everybody was a smoker. So like I grew up in a world where my mom and all her female cousins and everybody, like literally every female member of our family, it's all smoked. Like. And, like, I mean, pretty much everybody smoked, but it was such a girl thing to smoke. It was such a female thing to smoke. Like, it just seemed like it seemed like guys, like, by the time I was, like, a young kid, adults, it seemed like there was, like, maybe 25% of men who didn't smoke. But I swear to God, 100% of women smoked back then. Like, and that was, like, the 1980s.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
I noticed in this film, I did take note because I watched it, the other night so I could get ready because I hadn't seen it probably since 99, 2000. And I mean, it's not because I don't love the film. It's just that I watched it so many fucking times that, back then. But I took note that neither Brown Bunny or this film, his character smoked. Well, did he? Right. No, I don't think he did smoke cigarettes in Brown Bunny. He definitely doesn't smoke cigarettes here.
It's been 20 years since I saw Brown Bunny, but I don't remember him doing it.
Yeah, and he doesn't here, and I thought that was kind of unusual, because again, like, no, I'm serious. I'm not just being like a joker about it. Like, if independent film, usually your star was like cool, whatever, hip type character. He's had a cigarette in his hand,
It's like every fucking movie Janine Garofalo was in the 90s and early 2000s. She always fucking smoked.
Well, that's because she did smoke, though, I think, so it worked out,
But that's what it was, like a bonus. Like, they would force the non-smoker actresses to smoke in movies until they eventually got addicted. But if you got a hold of an actress who actually already was a smoker, it was like free reign. It's like, Gwyneth Paltrow, go ahead and light up on camera. Whoa, yeah, that's great. It's like I don't really like miss like people like bringing the shit to their lips and blowing the smoke out. But I got so used back to like movies where they would cut to a character at a desk with or like sitting in a house with just at least like a cigarette chilling in an ashtray and the little stream of smoke coming out of it. You know?
Yeah. And let's not forget about Shelley Duvall's smoking performance in The Shining, where when she's talking to the child psychiatrist, and it's like 3/4 of the cigarette is the ashes there. I mean, she's a boss with it.
I know. It's just going so long. We got to talk about our girl Rosanna Arquette here, and this is a great scene.
And she is smoking.
They go to Denny's.
She is smoking.
Yeah. They go to Denny's for hot chocolate because Christina Ricci loves hot chocolate. And the name that he forced her to be when they visited her parents, and she laid on all these bullshit stories about him working for the CIA. She claimed to be Wendy Balsam, and then he's got a teenage picture of Rosanna Arquette in his locker at the bowling alley, and then like they just accidentally sit next to Wendy Balsam and her lame fucking fiance Don, whatever his name is, and then she's like, "Hey, aren't you Billy Brown? Didn't you go to jail and all this shit?" And like, she says her name is Wendy Balsam, and then Christina Ricci puts two and two together that, like, and like this, the Rosanna Arquette's like so nasty, like you said, like her boyfriend or her fiance, whatever. They're sitting in a booth, and he eventually moves over to sit next to her so they can start making out in the middle of Denny's, and then she's like smoking a cigarette while they're like making out. Like, it's so fucking gross.
Yeah, no, that's hot, bro. That's hot.
I gotta say, like, the Vincent Gallo move, like this was a context that I had now that I didn't have when I watched this movie. So of course Gallo wants to run out of the thing, and Christina Ricci's like, "No, fuck that! Like, I want hot chocolate. Like, we should stay. Like, she's gross." And she's even trying to tell him like I know this is who you had a crush on, but you're so much better than her, Billy. Like, she's so creepy, and you're so nice. Yeah. I love that scene too, where she's like, "She's so creepy." And he's like, no, he's like, I gotta go. And the way he gets up and he runs out and like just leaves her. He's like, don't give me this shit. I'm too good. I'm too whatever. He's like, fuck you, you know. And he leaves her there. And like, I gotta say that was pretty much me. Like, I pretty much did that to like every girlfriend I ever had. At some point, I left them in a restaurant. And a lot of times it wasn't even because I did. I'm so ashamed of it. And a lot of times it wasn't even really like because I was like mad at them. It was like the experience was shitty, or like there'd be like obnoxious people sitting next to us or whatever, and I'd be like, I can't take this. Like, let's go. And like if they don't want to go, then you're like, okay, fine, I'm leaving.
Bye bye.
Like I did that. I probably did that a good 5 or 6 times, and I'm not proud of it. It's a beta move.
So this film's almost autobiographical for you then, you know, like you felt like.
I mean, I don't really think. Yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't really think, like, I had a traumatic upbringing the way Billy did, but, like, yeah, just a lot of the personality traits. It's probably another reason subconsciously why I identify with this film so much.
So, the other thing I pointed out to you, not to get to what we are staying on topic as far as Gallo, Vincent Gallo has his own website, and it's called VincentGallo.com. I know you.
It's VGmerchandise.com.
Right. Yeah. And, well, so you go there, and it's like you get these 2 photos of him, and they're like mugshots, actually. I don't know if these were like his agent had these stills, or if he took these, or these are art photos. And it has a heart that says "click," and you go in, and yeah, you get the merchandise. Everything looks, I don't know, it kind of looks a little outdated for today's standards of a website layout, but. You know, we've got acting, directing, music, and then we get this great page, this merchandise page. And you can buy LPs and CDs, posters, and DVDs. He doesn't have any Blu-rays of any of his stuff. They're like, you can get the Brown Bunny.
This was before the Blu-ray era. And I also like, too, when you go to VincentGallo.com, that beginning page with the hearts, like you talk about, it says... The official website for Vincent Gallo by Vincent Gallo.
Right. So it's great. You know, you get this one part though on his merch part of his page that's for personal service, and you go, oh, okay. What like, is this for like working on film? And it's no, it's not. It's actually we got in Vincent Gallo evenings, weekends escort, and for $50,000, a lucky lady can fuck Vincent Gallo.
Like, ladies only, though.
Yeah,
let's be honest, there's some criteria on there.
He's actually,
like you or me
he
couldn't
like
hire
gay
Vincent
people,
Gallo.
But he's definitely homophobic.
Well, I don't really think that he doesn't like gay people. I just don't think he wants to be
homophobic,
gay himself.
I think he is slightly. And you get that with this film when that dude's staring at his dick. I think that's...
Yeah, he didn't like the guy staring at his dick.
Yeah. So
I thought that was almost like a prison thing, though. Like, if he let the guy stare at his dick, then maybe something bad would happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it all on here. I'm going to read a little bit on the escort thing. He says, "I'm willing to travel worldwide to accommodate clients. However, travel days are billed at $50,000 per plus all premium flight fees. So you got to pay for his flight. He also wants you to get a STD printout that's required, and also bathing and grooming prior to our encounter. Detailed photos of potential clients also required prior, because he doesn't want to fuck any ugly chicks. An extra fee for security to protect me is charged on top of the fantasy fee. Security fees will vary depending on details of an encounter and how much security I will need. Potential clients are advised to screen the controversial scene from Brown Bunny to be sure for themselves that they can fully accommodate all of me."
Yeah, so if you have a tight orifice, you probably wouldn't want to hire Vincent Gallo.
Unless you want to get it stretched out. He wants you to check out the Brown Bunny, though, to be sure that you can handle his girth.
He's probably just saying that to drum up DVD sales and rentals, though, I would think.
So for $1 million, you can also be artificially inseminated with Vincent Gallo's sperm. I'm not really going to get into this, but just go to the website. But he does. We'll read this bottom portion, though, about the Jewish. A Jewish mother would qualify a baby to be deemed a member of the Jewish religion. This would be added incentive for Mr. Gallo to sell his sperm to a Jew mother. His reasoning being that with slim chance that his child moved into the profession of motion picture acting or become a musical performer, this connection to the Jewish faith would guarantee his offspring a better chance at good reviews and maybe even a prize at the Sundance Film Festival or an Oscar. So he believes that combined with his great art genetics, with the Jewish mother, with Jewish heritage, that this child in any forms of media would go far, especially in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So.
Which I don't know his ethnic background. I just always assumed he was 100% Italian or close to it. Yeah. So I guess Italian with Jewish genes are going to get those reviews. But again, like you said, Bat, the website's very outdated looking, because I think there's one point where he say he's like 43 when like in real life now he's like 61.
That's right.
So I mean, I think the information is a little outdated. I don't really know if an Italian plus Jewish baby would really get the same reviews today at the Sundance Film Festival that it would have in like 2008 or whatever it was.
I think that Kanye West would disagree with you, sir.
Yeah, I don't really know. I watched one appearance of Kanye West when he was on, who was it, Chris Cuomo's show? Like, I mean...
Was that recently? Oh, no, Chris Cuomo's not.
Like a month ago.
Yeah, that's right. He's got that internet thing now, right? Exclusive, because he got kicked off CNN.
I mean, it could be on the internet, but it's also on, like, they took over WGN. I watched it on TV, but, yeah. I watched it through DirecTV stream, so... yeah, I don't know. Or I should say I have. I haven't watched a lot of it, but I've seen some pieces of it. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to go as far and put him in the same class. You know, like to me, like Kanye West, from what I saw, he was giving more negative comments, where I feel like Vincent Gallo is just giving you the background as to why he thinks you could get some good film reviews if that's what you wanted to do.
Well,
but
we've seen Vincent Gallo in a few. I mean, I've been watching quite a few interviews, and he definitely believes that Hollywood is dominantly ran by people of the Jewish faith, and that's why
I mean, to qualify that,
a Palme d'Or or Oscar for his film performances or directing. So.
Well, to qualify that, I guess we should also, in fairness, because if you're going to report one side of it, you might as well report the other. In all fairness, he apparently did get blacklisted to some degree by Harvey Weinstein, because he was friends with Asia Argento, and he was trying to stick up for Asia. And
because she was accosted by Harvey.
Harvey Weinstein, who, people don't know,
was she part of the whole coming out, and like did he get convicted on things he had done to her, or is that just her jumping on the bandwagon? Exactly.
She came. I could be wrong. I don't think she testified in the trial, because what happened to her was like past statute of limitations. I believe Annabella Sciorra came out and testified, even though her the thing that happened to her was different than what happened to Argento. But I think just to give some background in the trial or whatever. But yeah, she talked about it publicly. Asia did. She talked about publicly what happened with her and Weinstein, but I don't think she was officially part of the trial. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's all very touchy subjects. But you know, Harvey Weinstein is in jail now, so it's like one of the few people I feel like we can have free reign. And you know, if there was a mountain, apparently he's about to get convicted for a second time on a different trial now.
I think he's gonna beat that, and like he's looking for a Bill Cosby loophole. Yeah, I don't know what he's hoping to. I think they're really trying to discredit the witness or whatever. But I guess he's of course any lawyer, any attorney will say this. Then you know they're defending their client or whatever, but they have high hopes that he's going to be able to find a loophole from very similar to Bill Cosby did for the other convictions, and he might be able to get a release. And I see the only good thing about that'll come of that is that we'll finally get a new Blu-ray 4K release of Dogma. I think that's the only.
I don't think we will though.
Well, he's going to need to recoup some money, because I mean, how much money has he blown on all these trials? And I mean,
well,
costed him over the years. So
dude, we gotta wait for Harvey to die. I mean, I'm lucky. I got my Dogma Blu-ray, so I don't care when
I know.
But
like, how much you want for yours? He's like, I ain't selling. But that, the DVDs still. I mean, you can get it for 10, 15. I mean, it is about what
there was a lot more of those made.
Yeah, what you would have paid brand new for it. But yeah, that special edition. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just have to buy that. Like, I mean, I'm not spending 100, 120 like for a sealed copy. It's up.
Could you get a rip? Get a rip.
I do actually have a rip of it, but like it's not I don't think it's a necessity because that's one of those older Blu-rays, right? Too. I don't think it's a necessity to have that particular one in HD because I mean, is it really that? Does it really look that great? I mean, compared.
Yeah, actually, it does. I watched a couple.
Listen to you, you're like, no, really actually, it does. I'm sorry, sir.
It really does. It looks like a brand new movie. It's not like one of those early Lionsgate like the Punisher Blu-ray where you look at it and it's all like washed out and shit. No, it's not like that at all. It looks fairly good,
Well, that sucks
because it was a release prepared by Sony, sir. We're not talking about some Paramount bullshit.
Hey, don't get me started on Sony and their fucking bullshit, fucking artwork, printing skills, and their disc production and transfers are great, but I'm not too keen, and I'm not a cardboard cuck. And then my Night of the Living Dead 1990 release didn't come with a slipcover, but come on now, you can't just print your covers out on your home printer and think, oh, because I put it on gloss paper, they'll eat this up. For $20, sir, I was not fully satisfied.
Don't dance around the issue. Who's the real cardboard cut company in the home video space?
Oh, you want me to say it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Should I get on my Bats rant? What Bat saw recently?
Well, we got to talk some Buffalo 66
We do.
Here,
We've been off on these tangents about buying Gallo's sperm and.
Yeah, we need to get back to the brilliance of Buffalo 66.
Right.
But one thing I think I've kind of uncovered, Bat, is the hotel room here. They go to a hotel room. Gallo agrees to go to a hotel room to spend time with Christina Ricci because he actually has to kill about 4 hours until Scott Wood, because Scott Wood doesn't show up at his strip club until 2 a.m.
That's
so
right.
he wants to go kill him there, but he's got to kill some time. But I mean, kind of once I knew it, I could see it, but I never would have thought it before. But I've actually uncovered this hotel room, believe it or not, Bad. This is actually a set.
That's what I thought. That's because it's it's way too 70s. The bowling alley, because I mean, dude, there's still bowling alleys locally near me that you could go into that have that retro look to them. That's not uncommon because I mean, a lot of the regulars in your bowling alleys are like 50, 60-year-olds. So like, what do you need to update that for to please them? Like they feel at home with that style. But yeah, the motel. Yeah, these drapes are fucking straight out of like 1978, like 80, at the latest, and
81, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But I uncovered it because I was actually one of the versions of the trailer. It wasn't like the original one, but it was like another version of the trailer, which was like. It was mostly in 4:3 because like that was the aspect ratio that went through the camera, but obviously they
that you showed me where it's like stills, like very.
That's the one that's on the Blu-ray. Yeah, this was actually a different one that was like very similar with the same music, but it was showing more like actual moving images instead of stills. And on that one, it's like 4:3, so it's not cropped down for widescreen, so you can see the tops and bottoms of some shit. And like on this, the shots where they're in the hotel room, you can see the top of the set of the hotel room.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I really liked that trailer you sent me.
Where it's just like a wooden wall that just ends, yeah.
The trailer you sent me, I really liked that. Yeah, you might be able to see that. He's got a bunch of stills, but he wants like $1,500 for these stills on his website for Buffalo 66 that he hand took. It's part
Which
of
is funny because he's in the frame on some of the photos. So how did he take it? But yeah,
right. Yeah,
I guess we'll have to take Vincent's word for it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, he probably had a camera with like a little remote, man. Like, I mean, come on. That's how isn't that how he did the ending? Was that with photo camera? I'm wondering how the ending. I know we're not there yet, but
it's done really well. But if you look, you can see some jiggle. It's just people pretending to be still.
Was it now? Did they set the camera up and just like shoot the shots, or did they use a camera? Because it does look like the same film stock here. It just seems like we're getting stills.
Just everybody stood still and the camera like went around.
How with the blood? How did they do it with the blood? Like, was that?
Well, if you look at the blood is just a plastic splatter effect. Like it's very clearly plastic with the light coming through it. It's very obviously not liquid. It's very obviously plastic.
That just is so. I always was fascinated with that too, as well, and like that movement and like that style and stuff, wondering how he did that, and just brings more mystique to this film as well, like in the style.
Dude, the strip club scene particularly is like so out of like 1974. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
like even the makeup on the girls, they don't look like modern girls. I mean, Christina Ricci's doesn't really look like a modern girl either, but like even the strip club girls, they all look with their makeup and hairstyles.
The girls in the little boxes that light up. I mean, I just love that too. How it lights up the style, like. Vincent Gallo could have really also had a career in directing music videos too, and not just. I don't want to shit on him here because a lot of people are like, these fucking guys in the '90s and early 2000s, music video director. Like, yeah, he's got that, and he could have been that, but this has substance. It isn't like a lot of those, experimental films that was like, okay, this is just like one big music video. It's not that, but. Some reviewers back then probably did state that they thought that he was one of those music video director types, I guess.
It's like I kind of get the perspective of the bitchy critics now, because the critics now are like, a lot of them are actually even younger than me. So like all they've known is studio pap.
They're younger than me, man. Now, I mean,
they've grown up after the death of independent film on a large scale. So like I kind of get that, like you would just slag off every independent film, and just compare it to like Wakanda Forever or whatever. Like I get it now, but like at the time in like 1998, if you're sitting down to write a shitty critics review of Buffalo 66, like what the fuck do you want out of a movie, honestly?
98 too, I was telling like Newt that if I had a chance, like yeah, sure, going and seeing the 60s or 70s would be great if you had a chance to travel back in time, but honestly, like in my timeline and everything, 1998 was probably one of the most memorable years of my life, and I guess that's probably pretty sad. And it was mainly because of all the great films that were coming out. And I'd go to the video store like maybe twice a week. There was two things. This was one that I always grabbed, and of course a copy of, because I didn't have a copy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There were like certain films I always grabbed. Maybe I told you about on the Chainsaw commentary that that was the same video store that I rented Buffalo from. I would just continue to keep Chainsaw. Yeah, I would never bring it back. I would just keep calling up there and telling him, hey, I want to rent another week. Yeah, I want rent another week. This one, not so much. I would just like, if it was in, I would grab it. So I was nice about it because I wanted more people to see it, so I didn't like hoard it like that or try to steal the copy. So.
Yeah, like it was really, I would say I think it started in the dawn of the 90s for me. Like I always loved movies throughout the 80s. But it was really like the 90s, and it was like Rodriguez, Tarantino, just a bunch of people. Like it was really like through that period.
Lynch was doing his thing in the 90s too, as well.
I love like Lost Highway and shit. So it's and like I was still in college when Buffalo 66 came out.
Was Mulholland late 90s? Because I remember that being renting that and really just being blown away by that film too, as well.
That might be like really early 2000s, like 01, 02, something like that.
Still in that like, era of the great independent cinema coming out. I don't know, that was a little bit bigger budget maybe, but still had independent feels to it. So,
but yeah, like it was really that time period, like up until the very early 2000s, that like really made me go from being a film fan to like really trying to like be a filmmaker. Like I started making short films like right around the year 2000. Like I started in cable access just doing goofy comedy show 99, but I made my first short film in very early, like literally like February 2001.
I think that's probably got the equipment around when I made my first short film too, as well. I believe that, or was working with my friend that was he's probably about your age, that lived down the street and really liked Buffalo. We were big into the independent scene. He showed me a lot of different stuff. That he's the one that really hit me to IFC, and then I, begged my parents to get that channel. I was like, I need this. I need to have this channel. It's important, and Sundance and stuff. So.
Yeah, we got DirecTV in '96, I believe, and we
got Prime Star, I believe, but I don't know that IFC was included. Maybe it was. I'm not really sure. But then we got.
Well, it was getting rolled out because I remember when we first got IFC, it was only on for 6 hours a day.
Really?
And they would loop the same Italian film over and over. It was really obscure shit. It wasn't even American independent film that you would recognize at first. It was so low budget, dude.
I think we didn't get it until 98, 97, 98, somewhere in between there. And I didn't watch Sundance quite as much because. I don't know. Some of the stuff was a little too artsy fartsy on there for my taste.
Yeah.
But maybe Buffalo 66 was on there. I don't believe. I know that's not where I first seen it, but it might have been on there. But Sundance had great things which isn't on the DVD or Blu-ray of Gangs in New York. But I remember there's huge. They used to have these spotlights on films that were being made. And they had this thing on Gangs of New York on there of them building the sets and stuff. And I remember just being so fascinated. I didn't see Gangs of New York till maybe 3 or 4 years after it came out. Sadly, I'm sorry. I should have, because it's really great film, but I should have caught it earlier. But I just remember seeing that and just a lot of stuff like that. I think I saw Welcome to the Dollhouse on there, though. But I might have rented it. Or the guy that I hung out with down the street that was into film, he might have showed me it too as well. I don't know, because we rented a lot. He's the one that showed me American Movie documentary. He's like, oh God, you got to see this. And I'm like, wow, how do I not know about this being into horror movies and stuff?
That's what I'm saying. It was such a cock tease of a time because all the shit you just talked about, Welcome to the Dollhouse, American Movie, Buffalo 66. I saw these all in the theater. And I don't want to say I took them for granted because I really liked them. That was probably the most enthusiastic I was about film and becoming a filmmaker that time. So it wasn't I took it for granted, but you just didn't think the world was going to run out of good filmmakers. No,
and I mean, you didn't. You thought it was just going to get better and better, man. And
right. And by the time I moved to Los Angeles in 2004, and then I really started trying to do stuff really more and started really trying to get stuff out there and do stuff and write scripts more around 07, 08. And when once I got settled in and shit, it was just it was everything was done already. Because what happened was the early wave of successful independent film cinema, all these and then Miramax cashed in, gobbling up all these movies and distributing. Everybody set up their own independent film distribution for Warner Brothers, Sony, everybody Universal. Everybody did it for a few years, and then they just got out of it, and then the market was dead. It was everything had worn off, and we were just back to Michael Bay Transformer movies.
Now we're entering into the strip club, and we get that girl
we gotta pay full attention.
The red bottoms is great. All these girls have a 70s look, or he made them up to look very 70s. I don't know exactly, but it's he just. I think
this is obviously a set.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But it's
this is obviously a set. He went. The outside was a real strip club, but the inside is a set. But dude, even the cigarette machine is perfect.
Yeah, dude. It's he just stepping through those doors was a time portal to 1972 or something, and it just so works, and the vibe, and then we get the Yes song, which I think came out in 72. I think that's on their second or third album. And then these girls in this booth thing with the color change
that lights up different colors. Yeah.
And they all
it's so awesome too.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the level of depravity, because all these women are young and they're all really good looking.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're all really good looking, perfect bodies, beautiful. But all the guys in them are in the place are all these
fat,
48-year-old, 52-year-old fat, greasy guys.
Yeah.
He obviously did this intentionally, and it's it's so such a level of depravity. Even though nobody's fucking a donkey or anything in here, it's still just such a level of depravity. And it's obviously he doesn't really exist here, belong here. And just I love the slow motion of him this shot of him saying Scott Wood, and the girl smiles and points to Scott Wood.
Yeah.
And Scott Wood is just a fat ass guy in the corner with no shirt on and a bow tie.
Yeah, the bow tie.
He's got 3 naked girls around him. Like they're all just doing shots. Like it's just, it's so obviously like not even what a real strip club is like, but it's such a great cinematic fucking thing. And just the slow build up of him walking up to him, like, and he's gonna get ready to pull out the gun. And Scott Wood, the look he has on his face.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, and it's all silent and stuff. Like, we just got music, and there's really you don't hear any of the dialogue. You see him mouthing words and stuff. But yeah, I love when he pulls out the gun and he puts his neck back, like, oh, I finally get to blow your ass away, motherfucker.
He cracks his neck, yeah.
Very 70s.
I mean, I don't know how to describe it.
Crime type vibes to it. So
yeah. Yeah, if you look here, it's kind of, I guess to describe people who haven't seen it, it's kind of like a bullet time effect. You can kind of see Scott's head kind of bobbling a little bit, but all the other shots are perfect. Like when Vincent, I love the shot of like his face is all distorted. He looks like a caveman.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I guess they helped really well though. I didn't really notice them move that. I mean, if it is, it's very slight and not. It's
really just the Scott Wood. But, like, it's obviously a string holding a gun, but it's well disguised. Like how the gun's falling through there.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out for the life of me how he did that effect because that was done so well. I thought it was...
It's done so well.
The reason I thought it was the photo camera effect is because a movie we've been talking about, because you can only get it in that damn box set, is Salt Lake City Punk. And there's a scene where they're at a party, and they used... I know how they did the effect, because I think I've seen some behind-the-scenes thing, maybe on IFC or something, where they do this, where they lined up all these cameras and took photos all the way down and then pieced them all together and did this weird effect in there where they're at a party. You've seen the film, right?
Yeah, but it's been years. So like I haven't. I saw it in the theater, then I re-rented it a few years later on DVD, but it's still been years.
And it might even be even more years because these cocksuckers won't let it out of the box set. Like you can only get. It's never been released on Blu-ray, and now it's on 4K. No. It's jumped right to 4K, and you can only get it on this. What is it? Who put the box set out?
It's Sony, but it's like it's Sony Picture Classics 30th anniversary.
But that movie's not even 30 years old. It's like 24 years old.
Well, no, it's celebrating the great films of the studio. You know what I mean? Which is 30 years old.
And then that's another late 90s film, independent, that came out in 97, 98. Another one I remember renting, loving it. That's not even that doesn't even feel like a studio film. That feels like an independent film that the studio bought.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty sure that was the case. Yeah. But yeah, I guess we should say, he kills Scott Wood, he shoots him in the head, then he shoots himself in the head. And then we cut to his parents at his grave arguing, and his mom listening to the Bills game. Yeah, and then we cut back to present day, and it's the split second right before he's going to kill Scott Wood, and he just decides not to. He walks out, he throws the gun away. So a lot of movies do that, and it always feels like a cheap trick. I always fucking hate that, where like they make you think something's happening. But in this case, like I love the character of Billy Brown so much. I love Vincent Gallo's performance. Like it's like the one time where I feel like it works, where you can breathe easy and be like, oh, thank God he didn't really do it. Right. You know what I mean? Because it's like the whole point of this movie, is it's a guy who has nothing to live for. Like even before he went to jail and got in trouble with the bookie, his life sucked. And it just has always sucked. And he's been, for how many years he's been wanting to kill Scott Wood. And,
except we didn't we didn't really get into the bowling alley. We get like a picture, and apparently he was like this, legendary bowler, and like had all these awards. There's these trophies. He's got like 3-4 trophies in his locker. So there's the picture on the wall of him holding the trophy. Like, Jan Michael Vincent's character has obviously been not charging him for the locker and holding the ball and shit because he's such a fucking bowling legend, and even asked any good bowlers, and he's like, not since you, Billy. Like, you're the best. Yeah.
J. Michael Vincent really kisses his ass, and you wonder if it's because he really I think it's probably because he's known Billy since Billy was a kid. Yeah. But I think it's also too, honestly, he feels sorry for Billy.
You know what's fucked up, though? You brought up about Jan Michael Vincent having throat cancer and stuff. He's, smoking, though, in the scene. Yeah, so he's, still smoking. I guess, I mean, I'm a smoker, and it's real hard to quit. So, like, I get it even when you're faced with deathly related health problems. It's like, yeah, that actually makes you want to smoke more, like, I would think, so.
Well, I mean, it's a combination for sure, but I'm pretty sure the bigger factor for Jan was his drinking.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
He was a very severe alcoholic.
I didn't know that. I haven't looked into him enough. I know me and Newt were talking because I was like, yeah, I didn't realize that Jan Michael Vincent was in this until my recent viewing. And I said, he's become kind of like a cult movie icon amongst underground heads in the past 10, 15 years. I'm not really sure what the reasoning is. I mean, he's a decent actor and everything, but
I think part of it was Tarantino talking up Big Wednesday so much for so many years.
Okay. Yeah, he'll do anything. Him apparently talking about any film will really do well for it. Obviously, Thriller or Cruel Picture really pushed it. I mean, not that it's not. I think it's a great film. You may disagree with me, but
Well, one thing we both got to agree on, Bat, is Thriller or Cruel Picture is the film that turned us both into cardboard cucks.
Hey, now, yeah, cardboard, but hey, it's not a slip. It's a box. I mean, it's got slips.
Yeah, they
too.
got me for 55. They got you for 110.
Yeah,
so.
But they smashed my fucking boxes in transit, so I got 4 of those fucking sexual cases. Now I had them.
You got substandard cardboard,
and then a couple
rare
of the slips actually, like they were dented, and I got replacements of those. So I got the other ones that were dented a little bit, and I got them framed and hanging over my bed now. So yeah. Because it was good artwork, I'm not gonna say it wasn't.
The artwork sold me. The movie didn't. I'll say that.
Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah. But it's a great. Okay, man. Let's compared to what the fuck is coming out now. Thriller, Cruel Picture is a great independent film, right? I mean, are we in agreement on that?
I mean, I don't know. I have to watch it again all the way through. I've only seen it once. But one thing I will say, it's definitely worthy of us covering at some point.
Kino.
If you're down for it, but
it's for sure. You'd agree it's Kino, right?
Oh yeah. No, I've never, not for a second. And honestly, watching this movie and the visual style, I mean, we can't oversell it enough, right? Back how beautiful looking film Buffalo 66 is, and that's kind of got me wanting to re-examine because I remember the photography of Thriller being awesome.
Yeah, that's actually almost reminiscent. He does this weird thing in there, Bo, with this. He got these cameras or whatever for that one fight scene that they use for the missile or the rocket launches, where he could do the slow motion fight scene and shit like that. So he used special cameras. Very Kubrick. Actually, it predates Kubrick's Barry Lyndon. So again, just messing with that shows you a real true auteur of film when they go to great lengths to do something that's necessarily not. It's not necessary, but they're going to do it anyway because they know it'll look great, and it is painstaking to do these things like this reversal film stock that Gallo used. That's a headache, and nobody seemed to want to go with it, but he knew that it would look amazing, and it does. So.
I really love the wrap up too when he walks out of the Scott Wood thing. He throws the gun away and he calls Rocky because he called him before and said, you can have all my stuff at the bowling alley. And he tells him I take it back. He's like, guess what? I got a girl. Really the arc, honestly, and it's not even overstated because it's very apparent. The arc of this movie is about a guy within one day. And again, I think it's problematic for a lot of people in modern day who want everything to be nice and neat and have a moral whatever. But he pretty much kidnaps a girl, and the girl falls in love with him, and he finds a reason to live all within one day.
But the weird thing about that, him being the kidnapping and stuff like that, is this is some weird documented effect of where the girl will fall in love with their captor or whatever. So that's kind of what's going on here. But it is a love story too, I guess. I just wanted to mention about Brown Bunny since we're never going to cover it and we're on the Gallo Fest here.
Yeah, we are. I told you I'll cover it with you.
Okay.
Brown Bunny.
Well, I just wanted to say that
there's a lot more. I just didn't think we were going to get into the semen cell. I thought we were going to save the semen sales. Like I didn't think we were going to go all the way on Buffalo 66.
We had to cover
I thought that was what we were going to save Brown Bunny.
We had to cover everything that had to do with Vincent Gallo here, but no, I was reading one guy actually believes that, because like we both are in agreement that Brown Bunny, I'm sorry, Mr. Gallo, we love Buffalo 66. We see you're an artist, but we really don't like, if you're listening out there, we really don't like Brown Bunny. I know you thought it was the greatest film you'd ever made, but I'm sorry, but Buffalo 66
respectfully disagree.
Yeah, we respectfully disagree. We do believe that Buffalo 66 is the greatest film that you ever made, and it is probably in the top 10 of the greatest films that's ever been made. But one reviewer actually believed that Gallo made Brown Bunny just so he could get a blowjob.
No, I don't think he's really, he needs to,
Yeah, and he dated.
Make a feature-length film to get a blowjob.
I don't know. He's such, but given that whole stuff we doing research, we found on him how about he had been a sex criminal for masturbating in public and stuff. I mean, you couldn't put it past him that he might make a film. I'm not saying but I mean to get a blowjob on screen in his film, like, because I mean that's really what the film culminates to. Like that's the grand finale.
Well, it's the whole point of the movie in a lot of different ways. But the one thing I will say, like, if he would have got an on-screen blowjob in Buffalo 66, it would have been like almost like you could justify it because there's so much. The writing was so great in Buffalo 66, with all the flashbacks and the little. The Billy Brown character is so fleshed out to him, like because he goes back to the hotel and he's all happy. He buys the hot chocolate and a heart-shaped cookie for Christina Ricci, and the movie ends with them just holding each other in bed, real quick shot. Yeah. It's like if the movie would have ended with her blowing him and like him coming all over and stuff, like you would at least have understood that in the context of that film. Brown Bunny is very emotionally detached, I guess you could say, and it's very observational filmmaking. Yeah. So I mean, I'm again, like I told you, like I was personally very disappointed in Brown Bunny because I had very high expectations. I felt like Buffalo 66 was one of the best movies I had ever seen.
I think he tried to take like a page from Harmony Korine's playbook and making movies, and it just didn't work for him. Because like I said, from what I understood, like a lot of the people were real in Brown Bunny, and like he just ran around. He filmed them
without their and then he just paid them afterwards to sign the release.
Yeah, I mean, and then at that pet store, I think that guy was somewhat involved. They probably handed him like some lines to say that were just completely normal, like, okay, you're actually working at the pet store. I'm going to ask you these questions, and here's the answer. Like, we asked him, how long do these bunnies live? And he's like, 5 years. Just 5 years. And I looked it up, actually. That's incorrect. They can live from 5 to 9 in captivity. But, anyway.
Yeah. Like, we really didn't do it this year just because there's other things I wanted to do. But, like, we kind of been playing a prank the last couple years, Bad, as we upload an inappropriate movie on Christmas Day. And we didn't do it this year. But, like, it's actually been very successful for us last year.
I thought this was going to be the Christmas. I thought we would do this for Christmas.
No, this is the January.
Yeah, I know. You said 2023, and we are... Yeah. That's a little bit behind the curtain. We are recording this, obviously, before the new year.
But we use a time machine to actually upload it later on its appropriate date. So. Right. No, yeah, like I mean, I could have planned it out. It's just the way things changed because I did things a lot differently this year. Like usually we just do 2 episodes a month. I did 4 in October, and I did, I believe, 3 in November, and I was trying to get 3 in for December, so it wasn't conducive, and also Zach's schedule changed. So
have you been doing this?
I kind of skipped the tradition this year.
I assumed the stuff that you're putting up was stuff that you and Zach had recorded like a while ago, because I know Zach's really busy. You guys have been doing new stuff, like I didn't realize that. I know that you guys have been. I know I've seen you been putting stuff up, but I just thought that they were like older stuff that you guys had done a while back.
It's all fresh. Yeah. I mean, with the Zach stuff, is because I got kind of like with you as well, as like I grab you guys when you are available.
Yeah.
And if I need like the Saving Silverman episode, we were kind of due for an episode, so we recorded it. The next day, I uploaded it. But normally with me and Zach, it usually works out to where same with you usually too. Is I usually record with you guys a week before it gets uploaded. So. But no, we never tanked anything for months and months, or even a month at a time.
Well, you took that break when you moved, and you hadn't gotten your desk set up.
Yeah, I didn't have all my equipment. I didn't have a desk.
I thought you were putting up some stuff though, so I assumed you had some stuff, on backup during that period.
I want to say the only thing, I rushed to record as much as I could. I want to say maybe I think I recorded episode 2 in December, and I think maybe I put one out in January. I went back to the old dead schedule of one a month. I think January and February, if I'm not mistaken, I put up one, because it was kind of fucked up too, because what happened was, this is a boring story, but it's just, whatever. I'm just talking to you. Is I actually got my desk in time when I moved. So I threw out my old desk because it was literally falling apart, and I ordered a new desk at the new house. And I got it, and I needed to put it together over the weekend, even though I was sick, so I could go back to work, the following Monday. And it was a L-shaped desk. It was 2 pieces, a smaller desk and a bigger desk. And they only gave me enough screws to do one side, so I had to put together the smaller side to do my work stuff. No, it was. I don't even remember the name of the brand now, but yeah. So I contacted them because I've done furniture before and pieces are missing, and they mail you pieces. They're like, "Oh no, we can't do it." I'm
what?
Like, oh, okay. So it was it took me months, and I was ordering shit from nutsandbolts.com, all this bullshit. I was assembling this hardware of these screws.
Let me get this straight. Do you call them and they couldn't send you what they should have included already? I would have been like, okay, well then you can come pick this fucking thing up in the front yard because that's where I'm throwing it. I want my money back.
So it was a $200 desk. They're like, we'll give you a partial refund, and you just go find the shit yourself. But the problem was with the instructions had just had pictures of screws, right? Didn't have sizes. It wasn't 3/8 inch, whatever. So I had to actually take some screws out of even what I had and measure them myself and guess. And I know it sounds like it would be easy, but there's so many different sizes. It'd be like if you bought IKEA furniture and there's just shit missing and whatever, And it took me a couple months, and also I was really, really, really sick. I got really sick during the move from whatever we wrestled.
Well, you were even before that too, right? Before you left, you were, because I remember that was last
Christmas. Right? Yeah, it was December. It was December 2nd. It was my dad's birthday. The guy came to my house, and he was like, "You guys got to get out. We're selling this house."
Right. Yeah. No, I remember because we recorded that. Thing for EC, right? And you were sick around that time period too, so I was kind of worried about you actually, because it was a whole still COVID scare and stuff, and it seemed like it was hanging around for a while, and
thankfully I never had COVID.
You got something. Was it upper respiratory or something? You weren't doing good.
Pretty much that's what it was, because just to give some background, we had major forest fires the last couple years. So no matter how well you really clean, and that was kind of my mistake, was I never really cleaned under the furniture at the old place. So then when we moved, a lot of shit got rustled up. And
I remember that summer you were I was like, so how's everything going out there? Because your region, I guess there's bad wild forest fires, and you're like, literally, I should take up smoking, because I'm smoking 10 packs of cigarettes a day right now. You can see it in the house, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude! I was just joking, but I didn't realize it was affecting you that badly, and it was. So.
Yeah, and there's nowhere to run either, because your whole town for hundreds of miles is covered in smoke.
You know what you need to get? Because my grandmother was doing this. We were having some wildfires here, and they weren't on that level. This was summer before last summer, and she's 83 years old. She was getting affected by it because she's got allergies and stuff like that, and she's real sensitive. And she had to run air purifier, and it was helping a lot actually. So I would recommend that to you, because you're still in the same region, right?
Yeah, I need to
that
get a big
happens
one
again, you know.
to at least clean up at least one room at a time.
It's not good
I do
for
have
your
a small one.
collectibles either, man. It's really bad
It's
for your
not good
collectibles.
for anything, dude.
Yeah.
Because it's literally, there's a difference between dust and ash, and I could see a lot of the stuff when we moved and uncovered shit. Like you could see a lot of the ash.
Yeah.
And also too, it's not just the forest fires. We had the last structure we had over 600, or the last fire we had over 600 structures burn over like a month. So it's all like the toxic shit that buildings are made out of.
Oh wow, yeah.
That's the shit that really fucks you up. So. But either way, I want to kill Scott Wood. I'm gonna fucking kill him. He ruined my life.
Fucking ruined your life.
I'm gonna kill. No, but like I don't know what to say. Like I mean, I really hope this commentary. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of like old school Buffalo #66 fans come out of the woodwork because I bet
that's what I'm hoping for.
Because that's how a lot of individual episodes get found out on this podcast. Is we covered obscure movie that you think nobody's going to listen to it, and then it ends up being a popular, like, who knew people wanted to hear Orgasmo on Christmas last year, but they did.
This will probably rake in. I'm just estimating, but 10,000 plays.
Yeah. I mean, over the course of a year or two, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it's probably going to break records.
I'm hoping that it'll attract the attention of Mr. Vincent Gallo. By the way, Mr. Vince Gallo, we're not judging you by any means. We think you are one of the greatest filmmakers out there, and we're not just sucking your dick in Brown Bunny. We did give our honest opinion. We were not, like, blown back by Brown Bunny. And a lot of people weren't. And now in retrospect, apparently it has ruined his career as a filmmaker. Like he only directed, he only directed one more feature film, if this information is correct, called Promises Written in Water in 2010. Yeah. So because I can't remember if we talked about it on the show or not, Pat, but a couple months ago, we were trying to win that big $1 billion Powerball, and neither one of us won it. No, we didn't.
There was a guy who won it, but it wasn't me or you, Pat.
Yeah, in California did. Was it Northern California there? It wasn't a guy.
No, it wasn't.
I thought it was a girl. I read that. It was a girl.
I don't know, because the last I heard of it, they hadn't identified the person. But if we would have won that. And, again, that just shows that the world is not a fair place. Because if we would have won it, either one of us would have won it, we both would have, opened up a film studio. And, for sure, I would have bought 5 or 6 batches of Vincent Gallo semen just to give him the funding he needed to make another film. You know what I mean?
I would definitely finance. If I came into some money, I would definitely finance. I don't care what the craziest project. If you want to do Brown Bunny too. Just so that he could do some more work out here, and man, really back him to where it's like, oh yeah, well Hollywood won't give you $10 million, but we will, at no problem, man. We weren't blinking, we'll give you the money, man. For sure.
He's going to make some Kino one way or another. I mean. It's a hard act to follow, to try to follow up something like Buffalo. See, that's kind of like the thing. I think Tarantino had the same problem too. Like, he never really could quite live up to the level that Reservoir Dogs was. But with Gallo, it's just so much even more of a mountain to climb, because his first film was Buffalo '66. But
we can't make a movie like that now, especially some of the shit he's pulled, and all the stuff he got on Brown Bunny, where he was he's running some casting. He dated Chloe. From what I was reading, I don't know if they officially, but they had some kind of consensual relationship, and that was a consensual. He didn't force her or pressure her to do that. She's even admitted that, in later interviews. So, but now there's this conception, preconceived notion that he's some kind of sleazy type director that forces girls to do things they don't want to do, and that's just not the case here. So that's there was a long period of time where directors like Adrian Lin were making lots of erotic thrillers now, and now their work is judged in a different, we are in a very sexless time of cinema, so people look back at sexually charged cinema and they think, oh, the guy making this must have been fucking some whatever degenerate.
And it's just no, it's there was a time before all you little softies were born, where people actually did shiver their. And I think that's really, again, I'm not making any excuses for James Franco because I don't know the man. I can't I can't qualify how good, but I think I think that's the problem people like James Franco get into, is they're willing to do whatever on camera, and they just assume that anybody else who shows up on a project is too.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it's like, that's why I just feel like, you know, and like, in all honesty too, like I think American porn is like very terrible now. Like, just,
well, they're back
compared
to the
where it was
they're
in
back
the
to the
70s.
loops. It's straight back to loops now. Is what it is, and obviously.
But I almost feel like a director now, has to go find a porn actress and train them for a while and get them, you know what I mean?
Oh, give them acting lessons and stuff.
Yeah, give them acting lessons, let them do the role, you know, help them out, and then like you just got to get people that, you know, from square one. There's no negotiation, because that could be misconstrued 10 years later. You know, you just got to get people that like are ready to fuck on film, and get them to be you know, actors as well. Like, I mean, honestly, like, that's personally what I would do if I was running a film studio.
I feel like the problem too in this era is that they're like Gallo is operating in the wrong era, because back in the 70s, you had porn actors that were all professionally trained, and a lot of them got into the porn industry because they were hoping to break into mainstream cinema, like Jamie Gillis. You know, so you wouldn't have to have trained these guys if you were operating in the 70s. You already had that level of professionalism there, and they were like, yeah, I'll fuck on camera too, you know. So you don't get that now. Now you get a bunch of they're good looking guys and gals, but they don't. None of them could, you know, hold a scene.
They don't have the background in the arts,
right? Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas back then, a lot of kind of frustrated actors and actresses, you know, did porn basically. Yeah,
they had no other alternative really. They couldn't break into regular film. Some of them could, like Stallone. Stallone was able to transition. Well, he only did that one film, but I mean, he really didn't do anything before that. So I mean, he kind of did come from porn and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, when you really can't get, you know, you're getting big leagued, or there's no interest in you being part of a real film production, like sometimes you just kind of run into people who are making this little sleazy film or whatever, and like you just jump at the chance just to work.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I don't want to ramble on too much other than just people need to watch Buffalo 60, or even like me, like when I watched this again back, because you know, like you said, like we didn't watch this film for years because we watched it so much in the past, and it's just like, it was so refreshing to see it again. And like, even though I knew pretty much which scene was coming where, it's like there was so much lines of dialogue I was so familiar with, and like even the, you know, the way the actors would say them and shit, especially Gallo, it's just so memorable. It's like, I don't know if it's really a quotable movie, because a lot of the lines, when you say them outside of the context of the movie, people don't really get it, but it's like, it's definitely like there's so much that just sticks in your head about this film. I mean, it's really a true, unique, original vision. And yeah, it's like, I don't know, like, I mean, it's awesome that you can buy it on Blu-ray for $10 and everything,
and watch it on Tubi for free right now too as well.
Yeah, so I almost wish somebody would do a $70 cardboard edition just to get people talking about this film again.
Yeah, I mean, if Severin or Vinegar Syndrome wanted to do a special edition, and they did like a making of hour-long feature-length featurette with Vincent Gallo and stuff, I would pay $50-$60 for it, and I wouldn't even think about it. Yeah. But that's, you know, the difference between some piece of shit that was like, oh yeah, that wasn't good when I rented it on VHS back in, you know, the 90s. Like, why would I want to pay that much now? Like, right. That's not. It didn't improve any. It wasn't good. I don't know why you think that's worth a lot. And you know, it's kind of ironic that they try to do this. A lot of these boutiques are trying to do this now, because even when they started hitting DVD, these would have been films that would have been featured on a multi-pack to sell them to you. Right. Like, you would have gotten 2 films or 4 films, MGM. A lot of it's MGM licensed stuff, and it's like, that's great. I loved those double features. We both talked about those MGM horror double features and stuff. Those were great, but
they were great at the time.
Yeah, they were great at the time because they were cheap, and B, like if you didn't like one of the films, like the other film was usually good, but it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go pay $60, like this is some fucking Criterion grade shit, and it's not. Like you're trying to sell me it like it's Criterion grade, and it's not. It's just not.
Right.
Yeah.
Your price and Criterion. Yeah, unfortunately, from what I've heard in the past, it's very hard to get stuff licensed from Lionsgate. They just don't want to do it, which is weird because they don't really cash in on it that well. But I think that's probably the only thing holding it back. But then again, I don't know. It's hard to say because like how the hell because Sony licensed shits out too, and like how did it get to this point in time where Sony directly is doing a 4K of SLC Punk, but nobody even did a Blu-ray of it the last like 20 years, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a great film too, and it's like it would do all right. I guess, and that's another thing, they don't have faith that it'll do all right, that they have to put it in this overpriced box set that apparently is like all the cases and stuff are damaged in and stuff, and is now marked down to about, what is it, down to 170 or something.
No, a 140.
140.
And the last time I saw the one copy of SLC Punk was where people were scalping it off. People were paying $65 just to get a copy. They know what it looked like.
I saw 40
Whereas,
something
like, you can just
on eBay. It's still too expensive for me considering I don't.
It jumped up though.
Oh, did it?
Telling you, if you follow them,
Right.
like the ones that I was following that had the bid, like I've seen some people doing buy it nows at 90 and shit. But it's like just buy the set for 140, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's like 90, like I would pay $50 for it if I had a 4K player right now, but I don't, and it doesn't come with the regular Blu-ray.
No,
so
it doesn't come with anything.
Yeah, it's just not like a smart purchase, and I want to wait and test the waters here and see if they actually will break some of these movies off, and maybe if they see what's going on eBay for instance, SLC Punk, they'll go, oh, well, maybe this can sell standalone, which I assure you, Sony, it can. Like, there are people out here that love that movie a lot, that would pay. They would pay $35, $40 for the 4K.
But that's why I'm questioning, though, Bat, was they never felt the need to put it on Blue.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think they're going to wait till every single one of them scratched up, greasy, bent up box sets has been sold, because like they're not going to want to do a reprint of because like the first edition of one of those box sets they did, which had a lot less movies in it, like went for a lot once it got out of print. So it's like, I really think they're going to ride that until every single one of those is fucking sold, because they're not going to do anything to undermine the sales of that expensive box set.
It's funny you bring up about these. I was wondering what this greasiness and this residue, like I've got some. Actually, it's funny because now I heard what it's called. It's called off-gassing or something, and it has to do with the production of the actual disc. But I bought that. Remember I told you I got that Outer Limits MGM old box set, DVD box set. It's got it going on in there too. So I think it's like maybe aging can bring it out or whatever. Nothing's wrong with those discs, but I noticed this like weird residue in some of the used stuff I'm buying, and then like some stuff I haven't played in a long time. I'm opening the cases up and I'm seeing this weird residue. It's not. I don't know. It's not greasy. I don't know exactly what it is. Exactly. It's the soft gas.
It is grease. It's the petroleum from the plastic getting released over time, and depending. And depending how, because I've seen it a little bit, very rarely with Blu-ray cases. And it would usually be like stuff that was very old that I could tell was sitting around in a warehouse. But now with 4K, it's happening with those black plastic cases, the way they're made or what they're made out of, and also the way they're stored. The Mexican factory, which creates most of the ones that we get in North America, like it's got a real major problem. So like what sucks is like they're printing the disc and they're slapping them in there, and like I guarantee you the greases are already the cases are already greasy. They're not getting greasy in the 1 month time between it gets packaged and then mailed out. Like they're using and that's just like quality control,
right? They're old cases.
Yeah, the best thing you can do is fucking take the disc out. Everybody's like, take this and wipe the disc. Like the best thing I've ever fucking found for discs is to wipe it on your T-shirt. That's what I do.
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
But for the actual
with media, like most forms of media and stuff, and people might go, oh no, you don't want to do that. Don't listen to them. They just want you to buy some special cleaner or something. I use it on my vinyl. I use it on pretty much anything plastic because it vapes off. a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a rag will clean anything off. It's super safe because it evaporates immediately. So that's a safe if you're going to use some kind of stringent to clean stuff.
Dude, I see lots of people on Blu-ray.com saying that they just head straight to the kitchen and they just wash it in the sink
that
with
works too.
palm oil and shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I won't go that far. I'm gonna wipe it on my shirt, and like if it doesn't work or if it's like whatever. But for the actual greasing case, the best thing you can do, and this is what I do, take the disc out, clean those up, put those off to the side somewhere. Take a Kleenex. Kleenex, I found, absorbs it the best. Wipe as much of the grease off as you can with the Kleenex, and then leave it open-faced for about 4 or 5 hours. Just let it dry out, and then usually you'll be good.
This episode of Movie Graveyard was brought to you by Kleenex tissue.
Yeah.
It's the best for cleaning up your visual media discs when you get them from Mexico.
Yeah, and you will get them from Mexico, especially if you want to buy any $40 Scream Factory vinegar syndrome.
But hold on now Paramount Dimension releases are some of them.
Yeah.
I just got that Scream.
Yeah.
It's old, but it's new. It's an oldie, but it's a newie. I got that Scream Blu-ray set from Walmart, and it was produced in Germany, and there was no off-gassing whatsoever. So we're still getting some German stuff occasionally. And of course, if you import film straight from Germany, you won't get that either, which you do buy a lot of German releases of stuff.
I do, and they never... Like, Germany is producing a lot of the actual 1080p Blu-rays. Unfortunately, a lot of the 4Ks are coming through Mexico, and they would use the... It's also just the 4K cases in general are more successful. The black for... There's like a name for it. It's like the Viva Elite case. That one's always greasy.
Viva Elite, yeah.
It's always full of cane.
The Viva Elite, and it's elite for the grease. It's the finest in Mexican grease. It's chicken grease. That's what I heard.
I gotta say though, this problem reared its head for a lot of people recently with the Child's Play release from Scream Factory.
I heard about that.
Yeah, like that's pretty much where all the Johnny come latelys, and I'm thinking like, do you even Kino, bro? Because if you're buying like 30, 40 releases a month like me, like I've known about this shit for a good 2+ years. So
you really Kino, bro. I wonder if they're carry 4K big deluxe that apparently they've contacted me and by email here recently. And they've informed me that my release will be on its way. It's delayed. The thing is, though, I never ordered it, so I will gladly accept that in the mail if it comes. And you can send me a box to return it because you made a mistake. It's not coming home to you. So, but yeah, I'm anticipating that will roll into my PO box here. Whenever they get discs out, and I'm glad that they're
the 4K.
Yeah, the
I
4K
don't think it
special
will.
edition with the what is it got, like a button or a magnet or something? So it's got some extras in there.
Know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sticking with the blue. I don't even.
Hey, well, look, if you made a purchase recently, apparently they're just mistakenly sending them out to you. So, which I did. This was on your recommendation to buy this damn box set of Friday the 13th. So I made a large purchase with them recently, and so that's
on my recommendation when you've been drooling over it for a year plus. Come on, come clean now.
It wasn't. It said in like a year. It's been about 6, maybe. No, not even. I think I was like, I need to get this finally. But yeah, no, I wasn't. And hey, I told you I wasn't as impressed as you said. You were like, oh, it's going to be the greatest box set you've ever bought, and.
For $90?
For $95
no,
plus
dude.
shipping.
For compared to $55 Vinegar Syndrome cardboard. Come on.
Well, maybe
dude.
it was free shipping. Maybe it was like, but with tax.
It was.
Stuff.
It was quality. It was very fair.
No,
price.
it's cool. It's cool. It's like I didn't knock my socks off or anything just because of the price tag along with it. I mean, if it was like $50, I would have been like a lot more thrilled. But then once I have to buy media and it's cost me like $100, I'm going to get a little bit, more judgmental on the releases. But
look how much you're getting, though.
Yeah,
look how much you're getting. You're not getting
true.
2 films, which is what Vinegar Syndrome would sell you for $90, dude.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was not on the Vinegar Syndrome level of like how much I paid and stuff like that. And they got, and unlike Vinegar Syndrome, and shortly after I ordered it, actually it came, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You don't get that with Vinegar Syndrome.
No, I gotta say I'm having bad luck because like I had something I bought directly from Shout Scream that I needed to come before Christmas, and I don't think it is. And also too, Kino Lorber just they just sat on my last order I sent in.
Mine's already sitting in the PO box. I just didn't make it down. It came today.
Yeah.
The order got delivered, but because I'm cheap fucker. The town that I live in, I don't actually pay for a PO box there because it's like, I don't know, $10-15 more. So the town that I work in, actually, I have a PO box at that, and it's like a half hour away. So a lot of people would be like, that sounds crazy, but I'm always over. I work daily over there, so I just, when I get time in between, I'll swing over and pick up my mail and stuff, or after work.
Right.
But Saturdays I don't work, so, and they close at noon, and I was walking out the door. I had my car warming up because we've been experiencing a lot of winter wonderland blizzard here. And
course,
and I GPSed it because I was like, man, do I have enough time with traffic? And I Googled it, and it said it would take me, I would get there right as they close. So I went and shut the car off and said, I guess I'll just, because I got some other stuff coming, and it should be here Monday. So I figured, well, I'll just go Monday. I clean houses, so I'm in between, and I have some blocks there. And I figured, well, I'll just go pick up all of the media that I have coming on Monday. So, and I have enough. We were doing this, and I have a bunch of Christmas gift wrapping. I don't need to be distracted by watching new movies or whatever this weekend. I guess I need to take a break. I can't Kino nonstop, every weekend.
Do you even Kino, bro? Come on.
We just Kino'd like a motherfucker with this. I mean, I feel
Kino hard.
I feel like us covering this film will either people will either fucking be like, oh, fuck these guys, and people will just hate you and be like, they covered this so they like this pretentious piece of shit. The Vincent Gallo, or the PC.
He camed in a girl's mouth. How dare he direct a film?
The PC nuts will be like, oh, they're misogynistic and racist because they like Vincent Gallo, or, and this is what we're hoping for, or we'll get this massive group of people that are like, you Kino, bro? Yeah, we Kino, bro. We're true Kino.
I'm telling you, 2023 is going to be the year that we take a stand against Kino. This is all a lot of movie hoarder shit. This is unrelated topic, but I've been telling you, okay, shit is dying, and it's time to take a stand. We need to put a line in the sand, and it needs to be drawn. Who's staying with Kino, and who's going to go the way of streaming TikTok bullshit?
I think we should, every time that you have me on the show, we should grab something from the 90s that would have been real hot on Sundance or IFC or real Kino back then. And that's what we should be just straight covering, that shit. That's just right from the independent bottom.
But no, I think we have great listeners, honestly, because I look at what, I've never done an episode, for the downloads or did whatever, even the more mainstream films we covered, I've always did it because I wanted to talk about it and I wanted to do it. And even the stuff where just out of fairness, I let Zach pick a movie. He's always picked good stuff, we did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, not because we want to fucking rope in a bunch of people who've heard of the movie. We like it. We wouldn't talk about it if we didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that being said, it's really the most obscure shit. I mean, the most, the only one time it ever worked, and again, it was just we wanted to talk about it, was years ago. We did an episode about Jumanji, and that's our most downloaded episode. The second most downloaded episode of all time, shockingly enough, is fucking Cannonball Run.
Really?
So you don't know. Yeah, wow. And I've covered a lot more mainstream films over the years that, every episode gets good amount of plays over time, but the shit that goes hot and goes off the Poughkeepsie tapes was a burner for about a year after we released it, dude. People couldn't get it. Yeah,
That was
actually really love that film.
I haven't seen it. That was from there's all these unreleased. I remember the longest time Poughkeepsie tapes didn't come out. There's another one I wanted to talk to you about covering it. It still yet has to come out, and it's Ricky Six. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, that was or no. Which one is that? The Van Beber one or
no? But it's about Ricky Casso. It came out in it never came out, but there was this screener. I believe in the early 2000s that had come out. I don't know. Somebody got a VHS because that's about the quality of the print, and it's got Vincent Kartheiser in it. I don't know. Yeah, and Patrick Brenna's in it and stuff. So you had some. I don't know if they're big names or whatever, but yeah. And I know Vincent was I don't know, for a while there in the early 2000s,
he was
big
hot.
Kind of teen heartthrob and stuff like that. And
did you ever see that one he did with James Woods?
Oh yeah.
I think it's called Another Day in Paradise.
No, that's great.
Or something like that.
I might have seen that on Sundance or IFC actually. That's some true Kino stuff. Yeah. But it's funny you're bringing up Poughkeepsie tapes because I was gonna ask, but I know you're more like to stick to more official releases. But I mean, it's becoming apparent we're 20. Yeah, when did this come out? 2000. So 22 years later, and it's you yet to see the light of day for whatever reason. I don't think that it'll ever get an actual release, but I have a decent rip of it that's been from a VHS that from the screener that doesn't have the time code, that's kind of somewhat cropped off, but they cleaned it up a little bit and brightened it because some of the night scenes don't look good, but there's this really epic scene at the ending that I just it's really, the whole movie's good and stuff. There's a scene where he takes some LSD and has a bad trip at this grocery store and stuff. It's really filmed well. And of course it just comes from this era of this experimental independent, I feel like it's an independent film, independent filmmaking style and stuff. So
no, I remember reading about Ricky Six when it was in production in magazines.
Yeah, it was,
believe it or not.
Everybody was really looking forward to it. It was really anticipated release, and then it just never got the release. I don't know why. There's I can't find any rhyme or reason to why they never put it out. So
yeah, I know there was this great big legend about Poughkeepsie tapes, why it never came out, and people were like, oh, it's just so this, so that, and it just really, all it really was it was just a cheap cash-in movie for the studio, and the studio just changed their mind, and they're like, oh, like they put the trailers out, because I saw the Poughkeepsie tapes trailer in theaters multiple times, and it was just it just never came out, and it's everybody wants to believe there's this great big story behind it, and then the directors, the movie did well, Poughkeepsie tapes did well enough in terms of screenings of festivals and shit. It did good enough that they started getting jobs, so they just moved on from it. They're like, it was our calling card film, our student film, if you will. A studio paid for it and was going to put it out, and then they just didn't. And eventually it came out over 10 years later when they got that Blu-ray from Shout Factory, Screen Factory.
Yeah. I'm looking, and there's multiple copies of Ricky Six on YouTube and stuff too. So if you ever want to. If you ever want to cover this in the future, I would love it.
I'll give it a look. I mean, generally, it's I'd like to cover things that we can inspire people to go see.
Well, they can. They can go see it on YouTube. It's available on YouTube. It is accessible. So and there was a recent. I can't remember if Severin or Shout. One of them has this new documentary, Acid King. I know Van Beber's in it. The Ricky Casso story or whatever that came out in 2021, so it's a really good time to talk about this because it's kind of fresh on the minds of people. I don't know how far
Wasn't Van Beber doing a Ricky Casso movie called Say You Love Satan? He did. Or was that something else?
He did. Yeah. He did do the My Sweet Satan, and it was a short film he did back in the 90s. And it was included on the Dark Sky box set. And let me look to see if it's on the Deadbeat Arrow. I know that's your favorite company too, Arrow.
That is.
Put out the Blu-ray of Deadbeat at Dawn, and it had a bunch of his short films on that. Let me see if it's on here. Roadkill's on here. Gator Green. Yep, My Sweet Satan. And I think this is still in print, the Deadbeat at Dawn Arrow release of Deadbeat at Dawn, and it is on there, and it's from 93. So
yeah, I just have the DVD releases of Deadbeat at Dawn,
box
and I know
set?
it has.
You got the box set?
I wouldn't call it a box set. I think it's like 2 DVDs. I have the original Anchor Bay one, and then I have whoever put out that second like white cover one that has like the 2
Deadbeat?
DVDs and
the
stuff.
original release of Deadbeat is Synapse.
Oh, is it? I thought it was Anchor Bay for some reason. Yeah, maybe it is Synapse.
It's one of the
Synapse.
Synapse
You're
early
right, because we talked about this. Yeah, it's Synapse.
Of the whole thing with
and
Don
who was
May.
the second one with the white cover? Was that Dark Sky put that out?
Dark Sky put the box. It is in a box. It's in a like a cardboard thing. My copy is. I remember buying it when it first came out. And it comes with both.
Mine is, and it's just like in a plastic 2-disc case.
And it's got both movies.
No, it just has like 2 discs, and it's
the Deadbeat. Yeah, see what they did was they released them separately, Deadbeat and Manson Family, but then early on you got this box set that came with both of them, and it was basically 2 individual releases in a little slip case type thing. But what you're talking about, the Manson Family with the white, it's all the same. It's just the same. You just didn't get the cardboard. Shame on you. Yeah, it was really thin. The slip that it went into, it wasn't anything.
It is Dark Sky put it out.
Well, I'm anticipating this Chainsaw 4K release, so I am waiting. I want the second. Yeah, well, whatever, man. Like that. The documentaries is what I'm all about, and they're actually on Blu-ray, so I can actually buy that. Oh, and they've got them on pre-order on Amazon right now. It's not just the steelbook; they have a standard release with a slipcover, actually. But they're like, okay, so the steelbook is like $50-some, and the standard 4K plastic release is 44, I think. I'm gonna wait till they go down a smidge, at least the standard down to like $30.
I bet I know you want it for the documentary and all that, but I'm just like,
I want to get that.
Yeah, but it's just like at the same time, I'm kind of like, how many times are we gonna be tricked into buying these fuckers?
Well,
like personally,
I've told you I believe that this is it for physical media. 4K is the end, and this is a 16 millimeter film.
I went in such a buying frenzy 3 years ago, anticipating the death of physical media. It never happened. It's just like. And they're all on the 80th release of some of these movies. I'd just rather save up some money and just buy some Vincent Gallo semen, collect that.
Well, that's going to cost you $1 million, sir, and you might as well just
take that money. Like, I'll just skip this shit.
Just
in 10 years, I'll have $1 million.
It'd be better to do a financial deal with him to where, like, you get a percentage of the profits and you fund his next movie. Then just give him money for the semen and stuff like that. But no, anyway, I'm picking up the stuff that like. And I don't think that 16 millimeter belongs on 4K. I don't see that, but like, it's pretty much
I think you can do it, but you got to do it right, dude. You got to do it right.
Well, you would know better. You have, the ultimate setup here, and are able to look at these films and judge them and stuff. But I watched something in 4K the other day because my roommate has brought his 4K TV, and he was streaming. One of the streamers was streaming 4K. I don't know if it was full 4K, but I didn't see a huge. I was like, this really doesn't look better than my 1080 watching a Blu-ray in the back on my Samsung. And now I have. I didn't tell you. I picked up a 3D Blu-ray player Samsung for $15 at a resale shop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So now
because I knew your other one was getting glitchy.
Well, no, I bought another one of those cheap Sonys that doesn't. I picked this one up because it has a Wi-Fi card in it, so now I can actually be a streaming cuck. On my TV now. You
can stream all that cookie shit.
Yeah, I could if I wanted to because it has a Wi-Fi card and I seen it had apps. But no, man, like I was watching on my Samsung actually, and it is better. The Samsung Blu-ray player, like the discs do look better with using it with the Samsung TV. They do look better than the Sony. I can go in there. I can actually go in there and mess with the setting. Like they have more settings, like screen settings and stuff than. I don't think the Sonys, these cheaper Sonys, have it's slightly better, but like again, I don't see a leaps and bounds between the 4K and regular Blu-ray. It's not, and you even admitted that you didn't see a significant improvement on the releases, right?
Yeah, like I've never like there was one movie which it was just a whatever cheap Black Friday horror movie. I've never like looked at a release and been like, here's the 4K, here's the blue, I'm gonna buy the blue instead. Like I always buy the 4K version. But honestly, it took many years. The first couple years of 4K, I was very disappointed personally in what I was seeing. Like it was like I could tell the difference, like because they use different compression, and compression does make a difference. Like it looks different. So like I could tell the difference between Blu-ray and 4K. But it wasn't really like, I would say within the last 2 years I started finally seeing some 4Ks that like knocked my socks off and looked good, and but then again, like my 4K TV is 65 inches, and I'm sure if you had like a 4K projector that you were doing like a 150 to 200 inch screen, that's really the screen size. When you start blowing this shit up super huge, that's when you can really judge how good or not good it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then they have special, if you get like really some of these higher quality projectors also have like special screens that help enhance, I guess, the quality of what's being projected onto them. That's what you see in the movie theaters, is they're like,
yeah, if you get a gray screen compared to a white screen, a gray screen will always have better contrast, pretty much.
Wow. Yeah. Well, no, I'm thinking about since I bought the 3D Blu-ray player because I've been picking up 3D Blu-rays, and you told me that they don't make the TVs anymore, but I could get a projector and project in 3D. So I would like to do that. Now, here's my question. Because I bought this 3D Blu-ray player. Do these come with special glass, or do you got to buy it? Because it didn't. I had to actually buy the original remote on eBay because it didn't come with it. And when I first tried it, I have my universal remote, and I programmed it to it. And then when I'd hit the menu, it would just take me back to the Blu-ray menu, and I'm like, or not the Blu-ray, the player menu, and not the actual disc menu. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to need to get a remote. And I went online and I found the original remote for it for like $10 on eBay. And it's already here.
That's always the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when it comes to 3D at home, whatever your display device, whether you're using like I watch my 3D shit on my OLED, which has 3D. So like that is passive 3D. So I just use the plastic little lightweight glasses. For a projector, though, you got to get the battery powered glasses.
Yep. Okay, that's what I remember.
And they always
are
like, they always tell you to buy this model that's like $50, but it's just kind of trial and error. Like with my projector, which I don't have hooked up currently because I just don't have the space for it. Like I bought tons and tons of cheap. Well, first of all, the battery glasses that were for my 1080p 3D plasma, they worked with my projector. I bought some lighter, smaller Samsung ones. I have an Epson projector, but I bought some Samsung. I know there's some like weird ones that say they won't work with it, but like, yeah, like I just kind of hit eBay and bought. Like I've never paid more than like, I think those Samsung ones I bought, I think they were about $15 a pair.
Wow, so that's what I want anyway with my player. So.
And you put little watch batteries into them, and everybody's like, "Oh, the batteries are more." Because I know there are some that are rechargeable.
Yeah.
Like I don't really like rechargeable batteries and stuff, like video game controllers and shit, because over time the battery dies and gets weaker.
Right.
I'd just rather just have a battery I flip over the compartment. It's like, okay, I'll throw a $2 watch battery in there, and then it will work for 2 years. Like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Obviously, that seems to be better than rechargeable. So, and those watch batteries do last a long time. So,
yeah, they do. Like, I would buy a pack of them off eBay or something, and then like I would pretty much by the time I needed to place them, like the batteries I had still in the pack would like kind of be died out. That's how long they took to they last a long time.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean, like 3D has really become a thing for people who have more like the mini, what do you call it, movie theater in their house now, because it's like since 2017 pretty much, like the only place you could get 3D is a projector, but it's like Like there's a few like really new high tech projectors that are like use weird technology that don't include 3D, but up until like the last year or so, like literally 99% of projectors all have 3D built in.
I've noticed that.
All it is, Bat, is honestly is a transmitter that's a little sync machine that syncs to your glasses, because your glasses will like flash left eye, right eye, left eye, right eye. That's how the 3D works on the battery glasses. And like, I'm not shitting you. You could add that to any TV now that use the battery glasses on any TV now, and like it would literally cost like an extra $6 to put that in every TV. But like they don't want to do it because they killed 3D. Because they're like, oh, 3D was.
I think it's because they're not producing the players anymore, right? Is that what it is?
No, the players you can still get. The only ones that, and it's interesting that you have a Samsung 3D player, because I have one too. So like Samsung was the first one. Like the last couple years of Samsung players like were really shitty. Like they just started stripping features out to make them cheaper and cheaper. So Samsung dropped 3D, and then pretty much everybody dropped them. But like I think the only new shit that doesn't have 3D, I think PS4, PS5, and Xbox, like whatever generation, like they don't want to do 3D because they don't want to pay the licensee.
Oh.
But any disc player you buy, like every single standalone disc player I have has 3D.
Okay.
And that's LG, Sony, Panasonic, whoever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I grabbed the Samsung because I saw one here recently at another resale shop. It wasn't a Samsung. It was a 3D Blu-ray player. And they wanted $35. I went on eBay and like I'm seeing them. That's like the average price. So I'm like, yeah, no. And I just went in this resale shop real quick. It's actually right down the street from the house. And I just went in. I always go in there occasionally. I don't know, for whatever, just in case I can snag something. And there it was for $15. And I'm like, yep. And I mean, I'm like, I just know that the Samsung player will be a better upgrade anyway, and it'll accommodate my television. So that's kind of why I grabbed it, and it wasn't a big deal. Like, yeah, I was looking on there, and they were like, yeah, with the remote, like $40 on eBay. So buying the remote, I mean, I'm at 25. I still think I'm decent deal or whatever. And but really, the deal breaker was that it had a Wi-Fi card in it, and that I could potentially stream, I guess, if I really want to go there, which, you know, I'll watch it on my computer, if I really need to stream
it.
Dude,
I know people don't want to hear this because it's like a bougie thing and whatever, but just like your experience, Bat, like, oh, you got this new player and you think it's looking better, like everybody's like, it all comes in an HDMI cord, it's all ones and zeros. It's like, it's really not. There's different brands use different processing chips. There's different software that goes into it. There's all kinds of factors. So it's like you could like stock up on players, $15 players, whatever, $50 players, like whatever you can find that's good and works. Like I've got so many players, and it's like there's ones I prefer more than others depending what type of disc I'm watching. And it's like, get ready for the streaming cuck apocalypse, baby.
Well, yeah, no,
because
you put it kind of in my head, and I don't know if we're there yet, but we might be there in 10 years, and we need to be conscious of this, especially if you have like a large media library. You really should, because like it is happening. I mean, it's harder and harder to find VHS players. I still have quite a bit of VHSs. And I, used to be, you could go into a resale shop, there'd be 10, 20 fucking VHS players. Go into a resale shop now. If you're lucky, there might be one dual with a DVD player, and those things are garbage. I bought a couple units here that are sitting in my storage. Probably isn't the greatest place for them, but I know how to work on them and everything. So yeah, it's probably a good idea to start investing, because it's really the hammer's going to come down when the companies decide, we're not going to produce the players. And look at all these guys out here with beta tapes. You can't fucking find a player. I mean, you can. You want to go pay $300 on eBay for probably a player that doesn't work either. You're going to have to spend some money. And to ship that fucker, just that people need to take that into consideration, because like people don't think of that kind of stuff now because it's readily available. But there will come a day when it's not readily available. And I just feel like if the streaming shit, and it probably will because it seems to be cheaper for the studios in the long run, and they always want to make the most profit with like little overhead, they probably will want to go in this direction. And they're going to take the power out of your, as far as a consumer, they're going to take it right out of that's what they want. I think that they thought
they're already trying to do it.
They don't
steering you to streaming.
Yeah, they don't like the fact that you can just throw that disc in for the next 20 years and keep fucking playing it without paying them like you paid once. And people now, I've seen this, some shows, HBO is fucking laying waste to a bunch of fucking TV shows, and people are going, Westworld, I see, they had gotten greenlit for another season. They're putting a kibosh on that. That is actually out on physical media though, but they're all like, oh no, Westworld's gone, this other show is gone, and it's like, yeah, well, that's a prime example of why this is dangerous and why you shouldn't support this, because they could just pull it any day that they decide to, and there's nothing you can do about it.
But movie hoarders like us who value the physical media because it's going to be there, and people are like, oh, you think Apple's going out of business? It's like, no, I don't think Apple's going out of business. I think that movie that you like to watch on there could just disappear by itself, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the truth, stream, we need to wrap this up. We're almost going on 3 hours, but this is truly shit we should be saving for movie hoarders. But I'll just leave people on this note. You like streaming, you don't like streaming, you don't whatever, I use it every day. I don't really care about it. I don't have emotional attachment to it. I realize it is a failure financially. Just do some research. You will realize streaming maybe it's the future 30 years from now. It's not now. It's a failure right now. But one thing I will say is, getting back to stock up on players, is physical media ain't dying today, tomorrow, 2 years from now. But the thing about it is like, you could turn this streaming shit off tomorrow. It could all die tomorrow. I've got 2,000 discs I'm sitting on. I can watch anytime I want to. But I need something to play them in. And like I was telling you, Bat, is like, you buy a player, it will last for a long time. At least it should. I've only had one player die on me ever. And it was a cheapo one that was region free, and I just used it for certain things, but eventually it went out. But like, maybe the electrical board will go out, Bat. Maybe your HDMI port will get funny. Maybe that won't ship. But one thing, 100% of the time, just like every hard drive will always fail, because it's the old school hard drives with the needle in them and shit. They all fail eventually. A Blu-ray player, DVD player, 4K player, whatever, gaming system, it's the same thing. You've got a spinning, moving part. It's going to wear out eventually.
This is like a tire on your car. I mean, think about it.
I'm not trying to alarm people or whatever, but like you, Bat, you picked up a player for $15, which is perfectly functional. It's good. You like it. Mm-hmm. Do that while you can do that.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, like if you're sitting on players
now, right? I've been buying them lately. I've just, even the cheapo Sony that doesn't have a Wi-Fi card, because I know it will play my disc. It's going to play the disc, and that's the purpose of it at the end of the day. That's what you want it to do, is play the disc. Like, if you want streaming, you can go buy a Roku, and you're going to continue to be able to buy those all day. Go buy the Roku for the streaming. I mean, it's great that, it does that, and that's kind of was, deal breaker for the Samsung. But, absolutely, you're right, and stock up on them while they're cheap. Because, like, I never thought there'd be a day when I'd walk into the resale shop and not find 5-10 fucking VHS players, and it happened, like, about 3 years ago. And now they're really hard to find, and it's just because, like, there is still stuff that I have that hasn't come out on a physical, like, digital format. And there's stuff from, like, short films I made that I only have on VHS. Like, stuff, that personal stuff that I have that I really need to... People are like, well, why don't you convert it over? Yeah, I need to do that, obviously, and it costs money, and it's like, I haven't gotten to there yet, but like, I mean, that's why I still need that, around, so.
Yeah, and it's just like the thing of like, even if you're not a movie hoarder like me, or like Bat is now addicted to it again, even if you're not sitting on 2,000 discs, whatever, 3,000 discs, and there's people on YouTube that have 20,000 discs, like it's just fucking insane. But even if you're just somebody sitting on 200, 300 discs, which I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not if you've been collecting for like 10 years, It's just like, if you're sitting on hundreds of discs, shit, I'll even say 50 discs that you paid $20 a pop on, and you got one player in your whole house, And like you're just like, yeah, that player's probably going to last a long time, but if there's nothing available to replace it when it breaks, you're fucked. Throw your whole collection in the trash. And like, let's be honest, like everybody's like, we're in the end game now. Physical media is dying, streaming. No, we're in the end game of us because we're people, Bat, and we ain't going to live forever. And me and you definitely aren't the most healthy people.
Right.
I just need enough players stocked up in my house to get me through the next 25 years because that's probably only as long as I'm going to live.
Yeah.
If I live to 70, dude, I'll be happy. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely.
And it's just like, I have players now that I bought 20 years ago that still work. So buy something now. Buy something either new or used that's still in good shape. Don't have fucking potato chips all over it. And just enjoy your life. You don't have to. Physical media will die and will probably die in our lifetime, but I'll have what I need. So just live that way,
Right, like my whole thing is like I'm not pushing like I'm saying like 4K. I'm done. I'm personally done because the majority of the films that I really like were shot in 16 millimeter. So I don't see a reason to go beyond 4K for a lot of these films. And even the ones that weren't shot in 16 that were just like the materials were poorly stored and stuff, they're not going to get any better after 4K either, even if they were shot on 35 millimeter. The big Hollywood movies, like, I was telling you I picked up that a couple of these, studio films here that were like older releases, and they look great. But that's only because, like, something of a Spielberg, like the studio had hindsight enough to store it properly, and they were like, "Oh, this is a big money maker. We need to take precautions on this film or that film." It's like not every film has been stored. Like I don't even know how the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was stored that well, because that seemed like a throwaway piece of shit, and apparently the materials look great. That's why I have high hopes for this 4K, sir, because of what Don May said.
I hope it works out for you.
The elements looked amazing, so
I hope it's good. I honestly do.
You'll get it. Don't play. You'll get it when it comes down to the right price. I don't think it'll come down any further than 2025 though.
But I gotta say though, it's like I jumped at the chance to upgrade DVDs from Blu-ray, because by the time Blu-ray came around, by the time Blu-ray, but like once I got a 1080p TV and I saw how shitty DVD looked, but like if I have a Blu-ray copy that looks halfway decent on my shelf, it's hard to shell out $30-$40 to replace it. Like honestly, because that's the thing is, like, I've been spending some good money here the last 2 years being bored as fuck during the pandemic.
Right.
But before the pandemic, Bat, I rarely, like I could count on one hand each year how many times I spent more than $15 on a release. Blu-ray was a great format, dude. It was like the great format. Like I paid less for my Blu-rays than I did for my DVDs for the most part. Like, it was a great format in terms of quality, was meeting a low price. It just was great, man.
And it's still great because these things, you're getting them on average. I mean, if you're not buying from a boutique, you can get these things for pretty much what Buffalo 66 costs, about $10 a pop. Even sometimes cheaper. If you go to resale shops, they don't know what the fuck's going on. They're like $3-4. Yeah. I mean, I just got a bunch of. I went in and I always like to buy the HD. Like a lot of people are like, "Why do you buy the HD kids movies?" I don't know, because I want my son to be able to view it in the highest quality format. So those Hotel Transylvania animated movies, like they had like, I guess there's a fourth one, but they had like all three of them. They had two of them had the slipcases, and I'm trying to raise him to be a cardboard cuck, so appreciation for the cardboard.
You're passing it for generation.
He's gonna be a cardboard cuck.
I bought Hotel Transylvania 1 and 2 in 3D a few months ago to have them ready to go for
3D.
Halloween.
Wow, he would love that.
Yeah, the first two. I watched the first one in 3D, and really the 3D made the animation beautiful on it, honestly.
I could only imagine that. So I think I enjoyed the first one more than he got into it. Then watched the second one that was like, and he got distracted. I mean, he's 2, he's running around. 3 didn't even give a fuck about, and I really didn't either. But no, they were good. Like the first one definitely got my attention.
I've only seen the first one, but I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I got those for like $3 a piece. So, and the Toy Story Halloween short one, which had the cardboard.
Okay, yeah, I've never seen that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. We had a rip of it actually that we'd watch because I was like, well, why the fuck would I want to buy this? It's only 20-some minutes, and he really likes it. So I'm like, well, for $3, and I looked on the back, and there were like 3 other little Toy Story shorts that were included that we hadn't seen. I think they were like 10 minutes long, and they were fun. And yeah, he just loves it. So it's hard to find stuff that he really likes, but he'll sit. The Ice Age movies, he'll like sit on the end of my bed with cross-legged, like glued to it. And Toy Story, anything Toy Story, he's like glued to it. I don't know what it is, so when anything I can find that will keep him occupied and like quiet and chilled, yeah, it's a win on my end. So yeah.
Yeah, just to have that time to watch something that together that you both will enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to throw in shit that like I liked when I was young, and it just doesn't seem to work for him. Like I liked live action stuff too as well. I try to put on live action stuff. I'm like, oh, I love this when I was your age. I'm sure you'll love it too. And he's like, what the fuck is this? I'm gonna go play with my cars. Like, he doesn't care. So, but anything animated really gets his attention. Will it keep his attention? Well, that's the question.
Yeah.
So.
It's always a crapshoot. But yeah, so we are going to get out of here like a minute shy of 3 hours. I think we did pretty good for all the Kino that Vincent Gallo and his sperm sales have generated. So Bat, obviously I want to thank you for, because honestly, like before this podcast is done, I want to try and cover some of my most favorite films, and this is obviously a top 5, probably maybe a top 3 favorite film of mine. So
yeah, you
really gave me
that you well, I'm not surprised because you do have an eye for Kino and stuff like that, but I just never heard anybody talk about it. So when I brought it up that one time, and you said, oh my god, that film's so great, and you like that, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I love that movie, of course, so
it's awesome. Everybody should see it. So this was a great opportunity to celebrate Kino. We are kicking off right now in 2023 the rebirth of Kino. And 2023 is the year where Kino wins again. So
it should be good if you have me back on again. Maybe we can cover more stuff. Maybe we could cover Palookaville and a lot of the stuff.
I would love to do Palookaville.
We mentioned like Welcome to the Dollhouse. A lot of stuff that was coming out in the 90s, throughout the 90s and stuff that was like pure Kino would be great for the year of 2023.
Exactly. We're bringing it back. So until next time, everybody, thanks for listening. We'll catch you right back here in the movie graveyard.